here for the Thailand Super Series. We drive a Mercedes GT3. First time outside of Australia? Yeah, definitely. So first time in Thailand for me. Yeah, we heard there was a Thailand Super Series and we looked into it and here we are and going around. Love the circuit. Chang International. It's been amazing. Facilities are amazing. Very different to Australia in many ways, but also very similar. So seems to be the Mercedes is getting a bit of attention. A lot of people like it, lots of photos and things like that. So that's really nice. And yeah, if people want to come up, say g'day, say hello, we're always happy to spend some time with them and show them around a little bit. It's yeah, like I said, we're here to enjoy it.
ครับสวัสดีครับกี้สราวุธนะครับทีม TSS Motorsport ขับรถ Ferrari 226 Challenge ปีที่แล้วก็คะแนนสะสม overall เป็นแชมป์ประเทศไทยนะครับได้ที่1
Hi, my name is Hafiq. I'm from Malaysia. I'm driving for PSC Motorsport in the GTM class with Ferrari 296 Challenge. This year, I think we are going to attack for the second champion again. So we'll see how it goes.
ปีนี้ก็เป็นเรื่องที่ดีนะครับเพราะว่าพี่โต้งพี่ชายที่แต่ก่อนเคยขับด้วยกันเขากลับมาจอยทีมด้วยแล้วก็มีรถแข่งคันใหม่เข้ามาร่วมแข่งในรายการด้วยฮะแข่งรุ่น GTM ด้วยกันนะครับก็มีพี่โต้งมาก็สนุกสนานขึ้นครับตัวรถปีนี้โดยรวมก็ทุกอย่างก็ใกล้เคียงเดิมครับแต่จะมีทางรายการ TSS ปรับ BOP นิดหน่อยก็น่าจะมีตัวไรไฮที่สูงขึ้นข้างหน้าแล้วก็ข้างหลังให้เป็นแบบเกือบจะแม็กซิมัมของ Ferrari Challenge Spec เพื่อให้ BOP มันใกล้เคียงกับรถในรุ่นเมื่อวานก็มีการเทสรถนะครับกับเอนจิเนียร์เขาก็บอกว่ารถเนี่ยมันพอยกไรไฮขึ้นเนี่ยข้างหน้าข้างหลังเนี่ยทำให้มันความคมมันน้อยลงส่วนตัวผมเองผมรู้สึกว่า understeer ขึ้นกว่าเดิมฮะแต่ก็โอเคโดยรวมก็ถือว่าใช้ได้อยู่ครับคิดว่ารถก็น่าจะยังพอไปได้คือ performance ดรอปลงหน่อยแต่คิดว่าก็ยัง competitive อยู่ครับจะสูสีกับคู่แข่งอยู่อย่างกับไซมอนเนี้ยก็วิ่งพอๆกันนะก็ถือว่าค่อนข้างแฮปปี้ฝากเชียร์ด้วยครับ TSS Motorsport นะครับ Ferrari 226 Challenge ปีนี้ก็กลับมาป้องกันแชมป์นะครับพยายามทำให้ดีที่สุดไม่รู้ว่าจะป้องกันได้ไหมแต่ก็มาสนุกแน่นอนนะครับแล้วก็จะขับให้เต็มที่แล้วก็ยังไงฝากเชียร์ผมกับพี่โต้งไว้นะครับพี่โต้งก็เบอร์ 55 รถ KTM ครับ TSS Motorsport ขอบคุณครับสวัสดีครับ
คุณผู้ชมครับและรุ่นที่ทุกท่านรอคอยนะครับแน่นอนนะครับทั้ง2รุ่นนี้ก็คือ Thailand Supercar GT3 และ Thailand Supercar GTM นะครับในรายการ TSS The Super Series by B-Quik 2026 นะครับซึ่งแน่นอนนะครับวันนี้เราจะมาพูดคุยกันนะครับกับผู้ที่เราเห็นเมื่อกี้นี่นะตรงหน้าจอแต่วันนี้เราเจอตัวจริงกับเขาแล้วมาทำความรู้จักกับเขาให้มากขึ้นเลยครับกับพี่กี้สราวุธเสรีธรณกุลนะครับสวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับพี่กุ๊กสวัสดีครับ
จากทีม PSC Motorsport นะครับพี่กี้ครับเราเห็นพี่กี้เนี่ยตั้งแต่ขับคู่กับอาฟิกาซิดนานตั้งแต่เป็น Lamborghini เลยจนมาเป็น Ferrari วันนี้เนี่ยเมื่อปีที่แล้วเรายังมีความดีใจไปกับพี่เลยเห็นน้ำตาแห่งความภาคภูมิใจและชัยชนะที่พี่คว้ามันมาได้ปีนี้เป็นอย่างไรบ้างครับพี่กี้ครับ
ครับปีนี้ก็เตรียมตัวมาค่อนข้างดีแล้วก็ส่วนผมกับรถนะฮะก็นี่ก็เป็นปีที่2นะครับก็รู้สึกว่ารู้นิสัยกันมากขึ้นนะครับแล้วก็คันนี้รู้สึกว่าจะขับแล้วรู้สึกจะเข้ากับ driving style ของตัวเองค่อนข้างมากคือรู้สึก confident ที่จะเดินคันเร่งอย่างคันเก่าเนี่ยยังมีกังวลว่าถ้าเดินแล้วเดี๋ยวกลัวจะแบบ oversteer หรือท้ายออกอะไรเงี้ยครับแต่คันนี้รู้สึกว่าเรามีความมั่นใจที่เราจะเดินคันเร่งออกจากโค้งเดินคันเร่งออกจากโค้ง
มันเนียนมากขึ้นคือ handle ง่ายขึ้น
ใช่ครับขับง่ายขึ้นแล้วก็เหมาะกับ driving style ตัวเองเป็นconfident ที่จะเดินคันเร่งได้มากกว่าคันเก่า
ใช่ครับทีนี้สนามหน้าพี่กี้ครับเป็นสนามที่ทุกๆคนชื่นชอบมากแล้วพี่ก็ผ่านมาแล้วโอ้โหเป็นยังไงบ้างครับกับบางแสน
บางแสนตื่นเต้นมากครับเป็นสนามที่ผมขับแล้วรู้สึกอะดรีนาลีนหลั่งตลอดเวลาสนุกที่สุดเลยครับแล้วก็รถคันนี้ก็น่าจะวิ่งได้ที่บางแสนได้ค่อนข้างดีมากๆครับแล้วปีที่แล้วก็ได้ที่1ครั้งแรก2รอบนะครับ
โอ้เพราะฉะนั้นอยากให้พี่กี้ฝากถึงแฟนๆแล้วก็คนที่จะเข้าไปเชียร์นะครับแล้วก็ไปดูรายการของเราในบางแสนกลางปีที่จะเกิดขึ้นครับ
ครับยังไงฝากเชียร์PSC Motorsport ด้วยนะครับ
ครับ
Ferrari 266 Challenge เบอร์ 77 ขอบคุณครับ
ขอบคุณครับ
สวัสดีครับ
Welcome in to the afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ourselves set from the Chang International Circuit here in Buriram. This is your final afternoon's worth of running in TSS The Super Series by B-Quik and B-Quik Thailand Super Series, which will run a little bit later on today. I'm Jake Sperry, David Haynes along with me for today's running. And David, as far as this afternoon goes, we start ourselves off with GT3 and GTM that will get itself into play, and a race that yesterday looked to try and prove that there was going to be a lot to try and work with, despite the pure runaway we had then from the number 12 over at Singer Motorsport Team Thailand. But they'll know here, as they are quick off the start, 60 minutes plus 1 lap on the clock, 1 compulsory pit stop to change the drivers, and of course, with the minimum pit lane time of 90 seconds plus the compensation time, they are looking to get themselves set today on what is a bright, sunny day.
Yeah, a gorgeous day, but a hot day, and we love this racing. GT3's familiar to people all around the world when they look at these cars. They might see something racing similarly on the global stage or also locally to them. And so we've got a great reference marker for it. And this is how GT3 cars are usually in their specification. And in this world spec, they are on Pirelli tyres. About 1,300 kilograms, just a bit over 500 horsepower. And the top speeds in the run from turn 1 down towards that big braking zone at turn 3 can be over 290 kilometers an hour. All of them 6-speed gearboxes and rear-wheel drive. We've got Porsches, Audis, Ferraris, the Honda NSX, and a Mercedes-AMG GT3 from Wolfbrook Motorsport there. So that's the GT3 cars, and GTM, just as exciting, I'd say. Some slightly out of homologation machines, but they can be very, very competitive with GT3, and they're also great to see sometimes some local flair or some more niche cars racing on track too.
Yeah, and they're all going to be really good. A real shame, actually, that we're not going to see the KTM Crossbow out there and running, and neither will we get the chance to see the Porsche 911 GT3 2 Cup car of the number 8. There is that said Pirelli slick tyre, the P0 being the official tyre partner here of this GT3 GTM race, as we look to go and get things ongoing. A competition-only road tyre with smooth tread for dry or damp surfaces that is out there. 12 turns here, 5 to the left and 7 to the right here at the Chang International Circuit, which ultimately doesn't offer that much elevation, David, but what it does have is that small rises, small bumps. It's almost like the TPC sawgrass of racetracks.
Well, we've seen turn 1 can be challenging with its track limits. You've got the fast run down towards the big hairpin braking zone at turn 3, and it is a really great track for racing. This is how the grid lines up for race 2.
Yep, Singer Motorsport Team Thailand 1 and 2, the 89 then, and the 12 1 and 2 as they go. As third and fourth will be then the 2 GT3 AMs that sit in, and then in GT3 you got the 2 B-Quik cars, Alessandro and Sandy. They will run with the second drivers first and then go to their first drivers, do it the opposite way around to what they did yesterday. So Afik will be there in the PSC Motorsports Ferrari, and then that will follow with Simon Chant, who is going to be running about then for Fire Monkey X Silver Rocket, and with the Porsche 992 GT3 2 Cup, and then the Cree Racing Ford Mustang Mark GTSS will have Jalen Robotham in as they go. But an early start as they get the jump. Look at that, 4 wide as we get ourselves underway. 1 and 2 for the Singer Motorsport cars, but critically, it's going to be Carlo Fondam who's got a good run. Massive pushes over the right as we get ourselves going, and that side-by-side in the left of the shot there really shows you what you want. The Mark car, they're really trying to fight. work through. Jalen Robotham looking for a good shot. He's going to be then second in his run as they will fan out again to 2 and 2 as they work through. Door is left ajar as they will push on by. Look at the push from the Porsche there. Goretti getting himself absolutely in off of this get-go. 3 wide they'll be to turn 4. What a launch we have seen off of this start, and this is where Satapon wants to get himself into play, and as a big check-up, wants nothing on it, and troubles there for the likes then, and as a blown tyre, blown rear left.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of contact, and the left rear is gone on the Honda. That's coming apart very quickly, and they're going to have to pit to get that fixed. They drop back, and we had such an awesome battle. 2 Singer cars versus the 2 B-Quik cars. It was like watching a game of football. 2 different teams out there on the pitch kicking the ball around. But unfortunately, they're a man down for Singer.
It looked like Buriram United versus Port FC out there, and of course around this section of the track you're not too far away from the Buriram United Stadium. But ultimately, it's a case where Alessandro Goretti, is there in third. There's the 888, actually, of Sandy Stuvik instead, who was the one who got jumped miles up the order on a lovely start in comparison to what would have been there one of the GT3 AMs. But that is going to be a really, really tough pill to swallow off of the start, and contact will do that along the run here to turn 4. But they have to be patient. They know that this is going to be a long race, and that this can be a race where anything can change out there, especially with how much time has to be given in the various sections. On the brakes they go in through turn 3, one of the best places to get it done on track, and that Porsche just having to be a little bit more patient now. Settle down in, find your rhythm out there and give yourself room. So Kantasak will not be the happiest bunny as he'll have to run back to pits, hopefully get the tyre changed and go forward. But we focus on your top 3 right now, who have got daylight over your leading 2 out there in GTM Pro. Looked like a tougher start out there for Woodman, and also the likes there of Sathapon, say, for example, then, who didn't have the greatest of starts off of the get-go.
Car-to-car contact happened on lap 1 going into turn 3. It's taken a little while with that puncture to get the car back, but single lug nut, only got 1 tyre to change. Could be a pretty quick stop, but oh, it's done some damage to the bodywork back there, and they're ripping off parts of the rear bumper before they can get this car out, and then even more frustrating.
Oh, Black Wolf. That's going to be off then, the 16, and Black Wolf Motorsport and Shane Woodman won't be too pleased about that. That was not ideal in the circumstance, and I would say that that has gone through around turn 8, turn 9, somewhere around there, top side of the circuit. Yeah, so he's caught a tank slapper then coming through. You can see he's left the marks and has gone around, and ultimately, almost got away with it there in the sense of finding one of the access slip roads there, David.
Yeah, so damage repaired or just ripped away, new tyre on, but it's outside of the compulsory pit stop window, so they're still, after this, going to have to make their second stop where they make their driver change and serve their compensation time as well. So it really, really puts you on the back foot to have a puncture like that so early in the race. Costly for Kantasak Kasiri, who's back out into the race. But this is our top 3. Ferrari, Audi, Porsche, you love to see it.
Yeah, 3 manufacturers, top 3. As far as it sets, that's what GT3 racing is all about, and pushing for the moment. Carlo Fondam and Sandy Stuvik then with Alessandro Goretti there in third, the Porsche driver out there who has been invited to jump in, of course, by the team boss here over at B-Quik Absolute Racing, that of course being Hank Gix, who he shares the car with. So this will be a sense of they will probably in the 26 want to get positions early. Already the lights flashing then from Sandy Stuvik, who had to really drive on the back foot in race number 1 yesterday after what was a horrible time for that 888, David, that took 3 separate penalties out there over the course of running.
Yeah, so the least total pit stop time to come belongs to the 888 though. So 113 seconds is their minimum pit stop time, 115 for the leading Ferrari, 125 for Alessandro Goretti and that Porsche. So all pretty close, but you don't mind this if you're the 888. If you can stay within 2 seconds, then you could jump them in the pit stop. And the Audi's looking quick and able to do so.
Well, I turn around and look at that, David. I think they can hold 2/10 rather than 2 seconds here.
Yeah, whereas the one car that can't afford to hang around and needs to get up the road and move on is the B-Quik Absolute Porsche. Alessandro Guaretti giving a little flash of the headlights. He feels like he's quick, and he needs to get past his teammate, then he needs to get past the race leader, then he needs to think about clearing out if he's going to cover off the time that is going to come, 125 seconds, when the compulsory pit stop window opens in the middle 10 minutes of this race usually, so in the 35 to 25 minutes to go window right in the middle. Still a while away, we've got to settle it on track, establish the running order, and then go from there.
Yeah, we absolutely do, and it's about 1.3 right now in the battle of GTM Pro at this moment between Afik and Jalen Robotham at this moment in time, so they will be continuing on with their charge down over towards turn 12, final corner on this circuit, and it's a very tight 120-degree right, and it's very easy to over push it through the final corner and run off wide, and the stewards will look at track limits, which I've already been dinged out there, a black and white flag showing for Simon Chan out there in the Fire Monkey Porsche. So already the first warnings starting to be thrown for track limits.
Yeah, long race, so you don't want to be getting in hot water too early. And if you've got a joker or a get out of free or a couple, you need to save that for later on. This is a move from Guaretti. He wants to get down the inside here. Your race leader goes for that late apex at turn 3 almost every time, and it always looks like they're going to get underneath him. Don't quite. So different lines from different drivers, different cars, and we remain in lockstep in one shot.
Yeah, it's what we call the diamond line, and it's there because what you're trying to do in terms of going through the corner, you go into the apex a bit more, you diamond off the corner at the exit, and it gets you better traction as you run through. Running shallow then goes the Audi R8 LMS Evo 2, trying to get a run out of 7 now and over towards turn 8, but the taps really turn on from that Ferrari 296 GT3, and there's not much that can be said except that parity restores itself at about a car length and a half to 2 car lengths. The difference, they work through turn 10 into, well, 9 now into 10 and over into turn 11, and the Audi maybe getting a little bit less and less popular, and something that we noted yesterday, David, was the fact that B-Quik by Absolute Racing are looking around at this, and that Porsche that they sit with in 3rd position, I think is indicative of where the team wants to go in the future. It's their first Porsche in the stable.
Yeah, they seem to like Porsche in GT4 as well, so not really any parts that you share across the both of them, but you know, you've got one contact for getting it. And where was the contact to the right rear that gave a puncture to Kantasat Kasiri? This replay is about to suggest it could have been there. It also could have been on the way in to that corner. I'm sorry, it was the left rear. So
yes, it'll be here on the exit. Look, just no room on the outside, and you're going to see it here. Bang! That's what happens when you try and shove out and be physical with your car. There are consequences for it.
Really great work finding that replay from our team. The exact moment that the contact was made, and the tyre started smoking immediately.
Oh, hello. Look at this, straight down the inside. That's going to be a lovely pass. He's going to push him out wide. Oh, Alessandro Guaretti, the Frenchman, getting the pass done and saying, look, I'm not going to sit back. I'm not going to take this idly. He jumps up into 2nd.
There we go. What an interesting dynamic you get here as well, because this is 2 cars being run out of the same garage for an aligned team, but Alessandro Guaretti is aligned to Porsche, not to Audi. So his job is to do the job for B-Quik Absolute Racing, but also to do the job for Porsche this weekend. And that was actually a very lovely move. He was perfectly within track limits. He moves ahead without too much contact. And now Carlo Van Damme should probably be sweating a little bit in his boot.
Yeah, I think he should be, and Carlo will know that he's got a big, strong responsibility in that 89 car, which fought its way back to 4th place yesterday. We'll hand over to Borrowwood Biron Bhakti, then, who will be next into the car and looking to try and get everything sorted. So I think that's going to be a really telling second half to this race when we get the switch over and we see those drivers pushing in. No further action has been declared to turn 1, lap 1 for advantages off track. I think the understanding rule is that, well, if everyone's going off track, then nobody's going off track by that response. Again, strong is Giretti from 3 to 4 and over towards turn 5, but again, just tries to posture with that lower line into turn 5, can't quite get the run, and ultimately that Singer Motorsport Ferrari has got a bit of leg to try and run itself away through turn 6 and 7, back over towards turn 8.
Turn 4 is super challenging at this track because you can't quite go flat out. You're trailing a little bit of brake and you're trying to keep the car stable to straighten it up to then really slam on the brakes to go into the tight next corner. And the Porsche and Giretti seem to be doing that very well. It's where they made the pass on their teammate. It's where they apply more pressure to your race leader. And this is fantastic for them, but they need to get past and then they need to move further ahead if they're going to cover off the compensation time. And then we've got the sort of gentleman drivers to go into these 3 cars for the back half of the race. And if you're the pro, you want to set them up as lovely as you can.
Absolutely you do, and so you understand that this is why we deal with a category like this, why we've got pros in category, why we've got AMs in category, and why we've got so much amazing scrapping. There has been a change between Jalen Robotham and also with Safapon, then the 27, as here comes a little look to the inside. No, not quite there, but ultimately they're playing this long game on the brakes. What a lovely aerial shot this will be, chasing back from 3 to 4 as they look about for it, and you can see it's at the second part of the straight where the slipstream starts to really take its effect. The higher body though shape of that Porsche struggles, and that's a double take in through trying to avoid any big major wiggles out there. So Giretti then having to fight the car then that's being a little bit too aggressive. They'll only go half an hour on the tyres, so this is a case of just use up all of that Pirelli rubber as soon as possible.
Speaking of going on the tyres, look who just set the fastest lap of the race. 9th place, Kantasak Kassiri with that new left rear tyre. Whatever part of bodywork they ripped away, it was holding him back. He is flying, and it's a shame that he's not part of this battle anymore. But we'll see what they can do as far as maybe getting past the GT3 AM and some of the GTM machines in the later part of this race as well.
Yeah, I think that's key. That's a long way back on the brakes, and that's only to get to the rear, so not really too much to worry about then in terms of the pass, but the posturing at the front of this group is something out there. We talk about this being an hour race, and normally we talk about races like these being calm, being a little bit more spread out, being very endurance. Look at the straight line speed as they go through the speed trap. 1, 2, 3, all going at just a click under 270 kilometers an hour. Kantasak Kassiri 271 on the mark as they jam on the brakes into turn 3.
Giretti keeps the pressure on, and this race becomes a race about which car and which setup is really going to look after these tyres, because they are going absolute flat chat lap after lap. Eventually something begins to give way.
Right, like now, oh, that's a look for the inside, but it's a closed apex through turn 4, and it's a committed apex through turn 4. You've got to be alongside to make the move there.
Yeah, you've still got so much to go. That's the right way to do it. But you're starting to put some pressure on in turn 3, into turn 5. Some pressure on in the final corner. There's a few places now where your race leader's got to keep looking backwards in every braking zone to see what Alessandro Giretti is going to do and where that Porsche is going to go.
I think the threat still as well is Sandy Stuvik, who is sat in 3rd position. He's not really showing anything at the moment, but that's all he needs to do at this stage. Just stay with the leading group. Don't put yourself out. Don't find yourself with much worries, and then this race will come back to you. And so I think there's that as an understanding between them. As car 27, which will be, I believe, Safapon out there, Safapon Viracha, will be basically turning around and saying, look, that's a black and white flag for track limits as well in 5th place. And he'll also be looking to move up then into 4th. But the focus, I think, is very clear here. These top 3, there is nothing really at the moment to separate them. And that is brilliant to see at the start of this afternoon.
compensation time still favours the 888, and they are still right in touch with the lead. And you look at which drivers are going to go in. Buriram is going to take over that Ferrari. Henk Kicks is going to take over the Porsche. Ayaro Rathapon still to come in the 888. That is a really promising driver with a lot of upside still to come.
Yeah, I'm very happy to see Iaro Razanakato out there and looking for it. Giretti, there's contact, and round is going to go Carlo Fondam, and that was a little bit too eager, a little too aggressive, and it's the second time today that we have seen a Stinger Motorsport car in trouble. It's under investigation here, but that was just a little bit too aggressive. Saw there the Ferrari run wide, and that you would feel is, all right, this is my moment, this is the pick, I've got to go lunge for the inside. He's never alongside. You can see he tries to get it squared up under braking and just runs himself out of road.
So the 888 now leads after the cars that were first and second came together after Kantasak Kasiri got a puncture. And of course they're worried about that Ferrari having taken a big hit that looks like it would have been squared at the suspension. We'll get many possible angles of it. So it begins like just running out of grip through turn 4. Ferrari's a tiny bit offline through 5, but 2 car lengths back here, Goretti dives for an inside line that just isn't quite there.
Oh, it's hardly anything on the overlap as he goes in. I think that if he had maybe a couple more members of the Anthill mob, David, he could have got it stopped, but ultimately, brake's not good enough to do that.
Yeah, it was super close. They're coming in, and it's before the window, so they think they've got a problem on this Ferrari after that, and they sure do. How did the right rear go down, just in the spin? Or was it already going down, and that's why they were wide through 4?
Well, maybe they've gone heavy over the curb there through 4 and 5, so a slow puncture. They're having a look to see if there's anything in the casing that's gone wrong there, and they'll have a look and say, right, I think that's all right. Let's get another Pirelli on it and get that one sent back out and going again. So really tough, an adjustment of the pressure as well for it here as they take a reading, but really difficult for them as they set. So this is a replay here. Oh, that's a mistake that's gone on through. Sandy Stuvik then has gone out wide and has suffered through. And is that a right rear as well? Is there damage on the circuit that is throwing punctures out?
Yeah, is there a curb? Is there the unrelenting pace? Something seems to be hurting some of those tyres. There's the Ferrari back in. Still going to need to make a second stop in this race. And the 27 Audi is wobbling. Oh. And that right rear is way down.
And look at that, it's starting to shed off the bottom here of that Audi, and they're desperately trying to bring this one back in any way, shape or form. Completely blows by the lane then to try and get in and get that slowed. I reckon there might be some debris out there that has gone across the middle of the circuit and is seeing a few tyres get cut down, and a drive-through penalty for Alessandro Goretti then for it. So this suddenly has become a really interesting race where I think we're seeing here it's just a case of who's keeping out of trouble. Again, it's another right rear that has gone down and has shred itself, and they'll send that AAA out as soon as possible. But I think with a drive-through penalty for Alessandro Goretti, we might be staring down the value here of they'll still have the lead because they've got 26.5 seconds, David, over Sathapon in the number 27. There's the confirmation, drive-through penalty.
Well, Goretti in that Porsche is now the only GT3 Pro that hasn't had a puncture. But they're still going to have to serve their drive-through. So before we get to the pit stop window in the middle of this race, all 4 of our GT3 Pro competitors will have seen the pit lane. Kantasak Kasiri, contact, puncture. I'm pretty sure that Ferrari tyre went down without contact. And then the Audi's other tyre's gone down. And Goretti comes to serve the drive-through, and I'm with you, I think they'll still hold the race lead. But does anyone want to win this? It's wide open.
Yeah, and it's early in this race as well, and I think that's the big difference, and all of this will be helping the Honda NSX of Kantasak Kasiri, who will have a chance to now drive and be aggressive. And I wouldn't have put on my bingo card coming into this GT3 GTS GTM race here, David. The last two positions out there at the moment would be the two Singer Motorsport Team Thailand cars, which started this race 1 and 2.
Yeah, amazing. This race is on its head to start off a new season of Thailand Super Series GT3.
And sometimes that's all the difference that it makes out there, as there is Alessandro Gueretti with now 5 minutes until we reach the compulsory pit stop window, which will soon open. There is gets through the middle of the curve. There's nothing I can truly see out there. All Triple Eight's back in again. So what's going on here then for them? Is there something that seriously is looking wrong out there? You can see doors going to open, and I think they might be putting this one behind the doors out there. That does not look like a good sign to see out there on that Audi, and obviously something has gone wrong with it as they've gone through, unless they are trying to do everything that they see, and you can see just no. It's not playing ball, it's not responding the way we need to. Let's pull it back behind before we do any more lasting damage before we reach July.
A real serious chat going on. I can't hear any of it. I don't think we can hear any of it. But Stuvik's not happy with the car. Stuvik moving his left hand across his neck says something's wrong with that car.
It's dead.
We shouldn't continue with it.
It's dead. So I wonder whether after the puncture something's got into the rear of it and is knocking about, that's maybe found its way somewhere it shouldn't, and basically he said by the time I try and get it to turn, it's dead. It's not responding the way that the car should. So they'll have a good debrief and recce on it, and they will look to try and fix that as it's set. So 7.7 is the gap right now, Sathapon versus Alessandro Gueretti. Now, I'm interested to note here the driver time for their Sathapon, who will have 95 seconds. So let's just put this into perspective right now on how good the 27th position is. They're 7 seconds right now off of the GT3 lead, and they will have a 30-second advantage in the pit stop by comparison. So they're net plus 23. There's your leaders right now. We've got a GTM on the podium as it stands, and this is looking really, really solid at this moment in time for the number 77 PSC Motorsport Ferrari 296 Challenge. Afiq Yazid, then from Malaysia, is going to be absolutely rolling in this one with a 20-second margin over Craig Corliss, who is running there for Free Racing, and saying, look, we are exactly where we want to be, and Saravut will be getting into the car next in potentially a minute and a half's time.
And in this Pro-Am formula, in race 2, the pros in GT3 Pro-Am start the race. It means it levels off a little bit in the back half of the race between the GT3 AM and GT3 Pro-Am cars, because they'll all have their AM in. Now, this is when that right rear tyre started going down. Does the toe link look off as well, maybe?
It might be something like that. It might be that they've run something a bit too aggressive, for example, trying to get some rotation in on it. And yeah, there's the sit down and the understanding there for Sandy Stuvik that race is done and dusted. First chance we've seen here for the Fire Monkey Porsche that is out there and running in GTM Pro, sorry. No, I'll correct myself, they are running GTM AM there, and they are the only GTM AM, and they find themselves quite comfortable with Simon Chan at this moment. They're 14 seconds adrift here of Jalen Robotham, who is doing a very, very nice job of keeping this race into play. And just noting around on what you're looking at, they all took success competition for 3 being there, but the fact that they are only 14 seconds behind Jalen Robotham, I think says a lot here on this race. And Robotham 5 seconds behind Afiq. This is going to be really close when they come out of the pit stops, which opens in 10 seconds, David, here in GTM. This one could go a number of ways.
Yeah, got to keep an eye out for official notification about pit window opening. I had my eyes open and there it is. I saw the sign and it opened up my eyes.
You absolutely did, David. Well done. And as far as it goes now, you've got 10 minutes to get your car in and for service to be setting through. As there is Kansat Kadiri there, who is sat there in 8th place and only 7.5 seconds off of Carlo Fondam. So we'll have that in the sight to try and chase, and maybe even might be eyeing up by the end of this one here a chance to move up to 6th place in the race with a look over on Black Wolf Motorsport. I think that will also be one of their goals out there.
This car is quick, and it's just a shame that they were removed from that lead battle so early, because they have taken the fastest lap of the race. They still hold it, and they're still lapping in the 137s, where some others have gone away from that a little bit. So it's a quick car, but it just lost so much time early that it's going to be tough to get back. Pit window open is going to see probably more of the AM cars want to come in early. If you're a GT3 Pro Am, you want to leave your Pro in right to the end of this window to maximise their pace and what they can do for you.
Well, Black Wolf will be the first team that come in, so Ben Schutz will be looking to jump back into the car, taking over from Shane Woodman. And a very solid run, despite having the spin that dropped them back down the order over through turn 8. And so they'll be looking around at this, going to try and navigate this back and say, well, whatever we can get out of this one, we can be quite happy. The Black Wolf is the lone wolf out there as far as AMG Mercedes go. And I look around at an AMG Mercedes, I think it's a very lovely, very popular car, and that make and model with the Evo kits out there have been a very dependable set of tools for many a racing driver over a number of years.
Would you say that Max Verstappen is one of the racing drivers?
I would say he is a racing driver who would love to partake out there in an AMG Mercedes. But if you want to talk Max Verstappen, right, he is the most interesting character in the world, because he drives for Red Bull, right? He gets to work with an AMG Mercedes, and when he's on the sim, he's got a partnership with BMW. So name me a driver that can have 3 different manufacturer partnerships at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, probably only some of the bronze drivers that own large dealership groups and are selling everything. Hey, how about Roger Penske? He can have a deal with Chevy and Ford and Porsche at the same time.
Yeah. Okay, so Max Verstappen and Roger Penske are on the same level. We have established this.
Yep, I'll back that one in. So, pit stops that count within the pit window. None of the GTM cars have come in yet. It might just be this one. We've had 2 stops from the 888, one to repair their puncture, the other one, Sandy Studi thinks the car was still damaged, potentially the right rear suspension in a sad state. Alessandro Gueretti, still leading the race, has been through the lane, but only to serve the drive-through penalty for moving Carlo Van Dam and the Ferrari from Singer Motorsport Thailand out of the way. So with minimum times in that are sort of like 120, 150 seconds, around that is sort of with 2 minutes to go, 2.5 minutes to go, you might get a real flurry of action.
Speaking of flurries of action, keep an eye on the 88 here with Jalen Rose-Bosen, who will have to hand over to Craig Corliss, and hope that this is going to be one of those races where you've got a great chance of getting in. They've got 5 seconds advantage in the stop over Afik Ithwan out there, as it would be Saravat Sarita Connor who will be in for them in the 77. But if you're within 5 seconds, you'd say you've got a great shot of it. But they are handing over a lot of time on the stop over to Fire Monkey and the number 10. So that is going to be very close by the time that they set themselves up, because they're only 18 seconds off the back, and they might actually get out in front by about 10 seconds by the time that compulsory stops are there. So look at the chase that's going to be on, and that marked car is out there, and I'll tell you what, it's always a joy to see them out running, be it Bathurst 12 Hour or otherwise, when you see for this. This is a car that looks absolutely beautiful, and if you want to continue on the Verstappen run, I think they run Verstappen colours before Verstappen colours were a thing.
Yeah, Australian-built car, these marked endurance races. Road car bits strung around the outside of a tube frame chassis, available in different styles now. This is one of the ones that's proved very, very popular. Looks good, sounds good, designed to be approachable to amateurs and gentleman drivers as well. For some of the races like this in Thailand Super Series, you mentioned some of those other endurance races around the world, popular for the Dubai 24, some of the Creventic racing, others like that. And it's holding up well in these sort of longer format races where the tyre conservation can matter, the consistency can matter, and you want to avoid too much pace drop-off as you pound around lap after lap after lap.
And David, they're trying to chase down a Ferrari 296 GT3 296 Challenge rather than a GT3. So talk to me through challenge regulation rather than GT3 spec.
Well, the Challenge is a lot closer to the road car Ferrari 296. It actually shares the same tub instead of being relatively bespoke built by Orica in France. So a Ferrari that's actually built in Italy here, what it's got is a little bit more horsepower than a GT3 spec car would allow, but they haven't gone quite as ham on completely reworking everything around the aerodynamics. So this is a car that is quick in a straight line typically, but it's designed for slightly shorter races. And so I wonder if it's not starting to struggle on its tyres a little bit more than the Mark car, but it's still a very exciting and quick car. And down that straight from turn 1 to turn 3, you'd love to have that many Ferrari ponies behind you.
You absolutely would. They are prancing stallions for a reason, and it is one of the most iconic badges in all of motorsport. They're the Ferrari race leader out there, Alessandro Gueretti, then piloting the number 26 B-Quik Absolute Racing Porsche 911 GT3 R through turn 4 and over towards turn number 5. Desperately trying to build gap here and to get this close. It has extended out to 16.6 last time over the line, and I think they'll be happy if they can get into the pit with 18, 19 seconds. I think that's the goal that they're looking for to give Henk something to work with. That's the camera angle. In comes Fire Monkey.
Well, there's a camera angle of maybe some suspension being looked at on an Audi, so that checks out. The Porsche Cup car getting some tyres changed, and they are going to have a driver change too. Previous seasons have seen Simon Chan drive alone, but everyone now in GT3 and GTM, a 2-driver combination.
Yep, so that will mean now that the responsibility will go to Alex Lee, who will now have to be the one who gets in and brings that one back, as there is the number 16 that is running strong, well, was trying to run strong out there, but is found that it's been a little bit difficult. It's now in betwixt and between here, the two Singer Motorsport machines, the Ferrari in front of the NSX. Now into the pits comes the 27, so Sathapon done with that stint, going to hit the lane with 1:29 on the clock, and this should be now a chance to really bring this one home. Daniel Bilski, the Aussie, is going to jump in and is going to now be in a position to bring this home, and should, when all things cycle out, have the race lead. There goes the seat insert. Now it's time to jump in, and it's really difficult sometimes, David, to get into. Oh, that's close on the exit. Did you see that with Fire Monkey? They're almost coming out exactly side by side there with the Ferrari Challenge.
Yeah, this last minute of the pit window is very busy, like we suspected, with the pro drivers handing over to the AM drivers, milking every single lap and minute that you can get from the pro drivers. Sees everyone come in all together. Daniel Bilski is going to come out. This is one of the opportunities for a GT3 AM car to get a really good outright result. The compensation time also usually helps them with that, but if they can keep their tyres together, they could be on well. A lot of teams at these stops are going to get new tyres, not just, bleed the pressures down like happens in some other 1-hour races with pit stops.
Absolutely, and so that will set itself off. There goes Fire Monkey, off and away, and they'll need to be quick around this lap, and they could find themselves in the GTM lead, as there are the Singer cars in, and also just in the background with 12 seconds just about getting it in is the number 26, which is going to be down in there and taking its service there. So that's a really important stop then that's going to set out and away then on the outlap will now go the number 27, with Daniel Bilski looking to bring this around for the final 25 minutes. Pit lane now effectively is going to call itself closed, but they are now going to have to try and get everything all sorted and together as they now look at this stop. And I don't think they'll be in too much rush here as they try and get through. Pit window's officially closed, as we have put it up on the board to say it is very much so.
Everyone's either been through or is in the lane right now, including the race leader. We take a look here. So Goretti out, Henk Kicks basically all ready to go by the looks of things. The brakes are just smoking a little bit, or it could be the radiators. It is a hot day at Buriram, and the racing's been pretty hot up front for the GT3s as well.
Looks like the radiators there, because there was smoke coming off at the left corner and there was smoke coming out at the bottom. So very much Mark cars come out ahead then. Oh,
the
two
cone
cones go down. That's going to be, we saw it was a 5-second penalty in one of the races yesterday for knocking the cones down, and that is cardinal from Craig Corliss. And so I think they're going to look at that and say, is it going to be 2 cones, 10 seconds?
Well, every autocrosser knows you can't do that. And so surely our Thailand Super Series Supercar GT3 and GTM drivers should know as well. Oh dear.
Wow. Well, that's going to make life awkward, and the way they've been knocked, they've fallen over to the left, so that's going to make life tougher. There off the drive goes Henk Kicks. Now, look at this as they look to try and get up to speed. There goes the NSX then, which now has Piti Birimbakti behind the wheel. That's a cone there for Birimbakti hit as well, so I think race control's going to have a lot of looking over at the exits here as they walk, but oh, you're going to have to just tiptoe your way through. And that is the 27 that's just gone by, I think. So I think they've just lost the race lead, and Henk Kicks is going to have to chase down Daniel Bilski.
That's what we thought would happen, the difference in the pit stop time and their gaps before the window, that the number 27, by virtue of being in AM without a gold-rated driver, would get a shorter pit stop time than the 26, who have a Porsche Pro to help them out. So it equalizes things up a little bit to have the compensation time that we use in Supercar GT3, Supercar GTM. But it means that that drive-through penalty for Goretti could end up being the difference if Bilski can't catch, if Kicks can't catch Bilski.
Well, we talk about moments in racing, and I think the big moment is you have got to try and give yourself as many opportunities to stay out of trouble over the course of a season as you can. And if you cannot manage that, then you are just going to be sat in all sorts of trouble. That's a double take in to try and get the run, just trying to find that operating window. Here is Henk Kicks trying to just take that line through 9 in towards turn 10 and out then through turn number 11. We will see the mark, over the line then will go Daniel Bilski, who should now, be your race leader. And so how much of a gap does Henk Kicks have to try and claw down? I've got it on my timing screen as 11 seconds in 21.5 minutes. So that's half a second a minute.
Yeah, the lap times we're doing, I think we're 12 to 13 more laps. So it's the time elapsing then +1. So there's still a fair chunk of this race left to go. Almost everyone got some new tyres to help them out and hopefully have plenty of tread and strength in them, because we've seen a few punctures early. So this is the race leading car. Yes, it is the 27. Daniel Bilski, GT3 AM.
And it's also worth noting too that Saravat has found his way by on Craig Corliss, and so that is a pass for the lead of GTM. So that puts Saravat back into third position. Best time was 38.5 on lap 5. Then for the number 27, which is out there in front, leading this race. And that is the perfect target that they've got directly in front of them there. They've got one of the machines directly in front. I believe that is Buriram there, who is directly chasing in the number 89. That will be who they're trying to reach down. In fact, no, I'll correct myself. It will, in fact, be Buriram there in the Honda NSX that they're chasing. They're the number 12. So I would say, if there's any target you want as an AM leading the race, it's the car that is directly a lap ahead, well, a lap behind you, who could have, you know, speed that is up there and perfect. 140.0, you'd say job well done with that time.
Yeah, Buriram driving the car that still holds the fastest lap of the race. Can I surprise you? That Mark car is under investigation for their pit exit line. You know, the pit exit line where they knocked 2 cones over into the path of the pit exit.
No, really?
Yes. Do you think it'll be a long investigation?
Oh, I don't know. I think it could take all of 3 seconds to see that they knocked a couple cones over.
Don't rush. Plenty of time left in this race, so eventually we'll take a look there. And yeah, here's the replay of it, right on cue, 1 and 2.
Ooh. Now, did they catch it, or was that just the airflow of the Mark car that's knocked that or pulled it into it, basically? Because I find it weird that the cones have come in rather than being knocked out.
Well, they'll be saying, it was the wind, Your Honour. I didn't touch him. It was a purely coincidence that makes me look very, very guilty. Yeah, I don't know how heavy or weighted those cones are. The answer is they don't look especially. You've got a little bit of overhang on the rear bumper on the rear right there. So if the rear axle was cutting a shorter line than the front axle, you might grab them in a way that flicks them over. But of primary concern is they are being hunted for outright position by that Mercedes AMG right now.
I'll tell you what, we've got a direct line over to race control, David, and we've just had the words in. There is a penalty coming for them, and I think it's if they're coming on the radio basically to say, look, we're going to give them a penalty. They are going to get a penalty out there. And so on the brake, oh, there's going to be close. Oh, there's contact. And Black Wolf Motorsport there will see the contact and the Mark car. Oh, they've got to be careful they don't beach themselves in the gravel. Oh, they're lucky they've got that out, but that's going to put so much, I would say, debris back over the circuit. Car 77 also under investigation for the line.
Well, leave no turn left unstoned. There was contact there. The Mark cars rolled backwards. So fortunate to get out of that. I would have sworn that was beached. If it were a GT3 spec car, I think I'd guarantee it'd be beached. But there's maybe a little bit more clearance to the Mark car that has a penalty also coming its way for its pit exit line. But will the shoe be on the other foot for second place in GT3 AM? Will they get a penalty for that?
5 seconds is what has been given in terms of the time then added on. The incident at turn 8 also under investigation then, so that will be no help as that involved the number 16 of Benjamin Schutz, and into the pits then is that car, and obviously with enough damage that maybe again it's another tie that we look at. Clap, 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 come on, let's go, and back off they go as they fall to the bottom of the class. So now your leader in category, and by a sizable margin of 14 seconds is the gap over the line. Question will be, how's the cones? Oh, not better this time.
That's always you can make mistakes, but it's important that you learn from them. And we've learned. Though, in fact, yes, no, it is the same driver still in the car. More dramas for the Ferrari.
Yeah,
it's back number 3.
Well, I would say that 3 stops in a one-stop race is not quite optimal out there with about 16 minutes to go. So for Buriram, that is a sense of to the back of the field. And we'll have to try and go again. I wonder if they've got a pressure issue or something.
Yeah, I mean, that looks like maybe they've just gone for tyres again, or if they've got a problem with them, because they got a puncture seemingly out of nowhere. They got hit by the Porsche in the left rear and then had a puncture in the right rear. And I feel like the line that they took through turn 4 suggested it was maybe going down.
Let's see. Yeah, that's another one that's gone down. Another tyre that has shredded here. And one of the things they'll be looking at as well here, David, is the fact that they would have probably had one set saved over, and the guys at Pirelli are having a very good look at that because they want to understand why the tyres are going down.
So it was the shoulder on the inside there. Now, a very, very simplistic explanation of the very complicated field of tyre dynamics is too much camber, too much toe, the very inside of the tyre scrubbing in a straight line.
And I'm just getting word then that this is going to be very tough as far as it goes for them. And, you know, just sit down, oh, look at it. And now here comes another move for position. This is for the podium. We've already seen one hit over at turn 8, and I'm not surprised to see that the 16 lifts out of it there in the AMG Mercedes and doesn't want to go through, and that is 5 seconds for that 77 for the pit entry line. So that's another car that gets in there, and this is getting tight. Are you going to try and get the run out of 11 here to 12? This is where they're going to lose the power difference. It's only slight, but it's enough, and there's the pass on the Ferrari 296 Challenge. So there up goes into third position the number 16 of Black Wolf Motorsport, Ben Schutz, getting the pass done.
You ever arrived at an intersection on the road and someone who's not meant to give way to you tries to give way to you and it's very confusing? The GTM car was trying to let the GT3 go. The GT3 was trying to make it pass. Both of them were offline until they worked it out at the final corner. And our friends at PSC Motorsport, the Ferrari GTM, yield before the final corner because this isn't really their race and they want to keep their pristine looking Ferrari challenge car looking gorgeous. It's the GT3 teams that seem happy to bang doors, go into the grapple, and set their suspension settings rather aggressively for these tyres in these conditions.
Yeah, that aggro, I think, has been really telling. It's been 2 wonderful hot days here in Buriram at the Chang International Raceway, and this is a team that's been trying to fight their way back, but they are officially going to be 40 seconds off the back of the team there. And I tell you what, Daniel Bilski, I just want to talk about him for a moment. He has absolutely taken this race by the scruff of the neck. He is now 32 seconds to the good.
Yeah, so that gap is extended, and that's why the GT3 Pro teams in the Pro-Am really need to extend a gap in the early phase of the race before the pit stop happens. That's when they've got their advantage, when they've got their Pro drivers in the first half of race 2, because things can even up or even flip the other way when it's all AM drivers in Pro-Am and AM. And Bilski, 39.6 compared to Henk Kick's 40.1. The Black Wolf Mercedes in third, a 40.2, might have included making that pass as well. And for Vorevod Buriram, 3 stops for that Ferrari. But when he's running, he's quick. He's in the minute 40s as well, which would make him the second fastest car on track, were he not perhaps 2 laps down after multiple stops and troubles with the tyres.
Well, he doesn't want these troubles, and we'll know as well that Bangsayan Street Circuit awaits next in the calendar. And if you want any chance to get it sorted again at Buriram, you're going to have to wait to the end of the season for that one to go and work. But ultimately, 11:22 on the clock and a lovely margin out there in front. And, you know, the Audis are cars that have been out there for a very long time. They're very sleek, they're very nimble, they've got a very short wheelbase out there to go and work and get the rotation through. I think it's a lovely car out there when it's running, but the issue that you sometimes find with those Audis is that they have tendency to swap around pretty quickly. We've seen no such worries about that here today at Buriram, but it's also a car that's probably reaching the end of its cycle, and I don't know where Audi's going to probably look next in terms of where they want to go, if they want to go GT spec. I know they've got their Formula 1 effort that's going to maybe get quite a lot of eyes on it, so maybe their GT3 work's going to take a bit of a back seat, David.
Yes, I think you can still get affordable clearance stock on used and demonstrator Audi R8 GT3s as Audi Sport Customer Racing's involvement slims and winds down. But you talk about the challenge of AM drivers, particularly in that Audi. It's one of the things they've continually tried to address with the Evo updates that have come out. And when you look at the rear wing of the Evo 2, the spec that's running right now, compared to that car originally, there's now a sort of curve to the rear wing. And what that does is once you've got a slip angle of 5 degrees, 10 degrees, the rear wing doesn't lose downforce once it starts sliding around, once the car starts sliding around a little bit more. So as part of the wing on one side loses its angle of attack, the other side gains more, and as the car moves around, it's more predictable.
And that predictability is going to make all the more help for drivers to get around, to find more finishes, to find more results. And ultimately, that's what a racing car should be aiming to do, David. It's not also just about being the fastest. Of course, you want to make a racing car as fast as possible. You also want to make it drivable, and drivability, I think, is the most underrated factor in modern motorsport when we consider about the fact that, you know, every car should be quote-unquote finding a finish to the race. It's not a case that every car does.
Well, in a BOP formula, every update and every new model of GT3 and every Evo package is rarely chasing outright lap time, because you're not going to get it, or if you get it, you're not really going to be allowed to keep it. They're always chasing serviceability, reliability, comfortability for the drivers, particularly the AMs, the bronze drivers that are, in half of the cases, buying and paying for these cars, and so trying to cater yet further to them, and also the serviceability, a key aspect.
Right, let's talk championship then at this point, because we've got 8:30 on the clock and the gaps all look fairly sizable at the moment as far as they go. The only threat will be that Honda NSX, look at that, it's in the background here, might be able to sneak up into 4th position and will take 4th place points. Should that all play into hand, and that will be critical out there as they sit. So when I'm looking over at GT3 and how they are setting up, this one is going to be looking like a 2-2 for the 2016. So they'll be on 36 points, and ultimately, I can't believe I'm about to say this here, David, but leaving Buriram after season open, the GT3 AM effort of the 27 of Daniel Bilski and Satapon, they are going to be in a 4-point championship lead heading to Bangsang.
It's always such a level of unpredictability to these races, and we've seen it. It can be from the timing of safety cars, it can be from weather and track conditions, it can be from penalties and punctures. And all you can do is try to make sure that your good days are great and your bad days are only merely lightly frustrating. So consistency across this season, across all the tracks that we go to, is going to be key. You're talking about that calendar, 2 trips to Chang International Circuit here, 2 rounds at Sepang, and of course Bangsang is a really, really exciting race weekend that draws so much attention domestically in Thailand from the manufacturers, from the fans, from the communities, and also is really building an international stature, and you'll be able to watch it live here.
You absolutely will. That, of course, will be coming along in July. Unfortunately, I won't be able to be there because I have a date clash commitment at that time. But it is going to be a truly wonderful bit of running that you will be able to see, and some absolutely amazing action that will be catching on in with that. But the chase very much on for Piti Buriram Bhakti, who will need to try and move up into that 4th place to try and fend off some points to boost to 37 championship points with a push into 4th position. So that's going to be critical to stay within 3 in the Honda NSX, and they will also be looking at this as the team's championship will be important to start talking about, because Singer Motorsport Team Thailand, I don't quite know what to say about it, but a 4-8, if they get it here, and look at it, that gap now down to just a couple of seconds, if not 1. doesn't get the job done, B-Quik would be head and shoulders above the competition coming out of this round. But this is going to be where Sarabut realises, look, I don't have enough pace to hold, and the challenger, I think, is going to, out there, the challenge machine, Ferrari 296, I think it's going to have to do God's work in order to try and hold this back. Look, he's already approached on the scene.
I don't think they're going to try, based on what we saw versus the other GT3, is that they're not really interested. Yeah, see, another miscommunication in just trying to let the other car through. They're trying to go wide round the outside, but not what the GT3 car was expecting. They're expecting to have to, you know, break in and steal the honey from the three bears, but the door was wide open, and that was a little confusing.
And the honey pot was left on the table with words on the honey pot saying, honey, try me, basically, in terms of the way that one was sorted. So it now puts then the number 12 up into 4th position, and Singer Motorsport Team Thailand will look at that and say, well, it is only what it is out there in this race, but they have done very well after the start of this one. A puncture on lap 1, David, to make the best of a bad situation.
They lost so much time because the tyre went down quickly. They had to crawl back. They had to then make that tyre change before their compulsory pit stop window for the driver change. So 2 stops, but so much time lost initially. More than anyone else with their punctures that went down slower or later on around the lap. And no puncture for the 26 Porsche B-Quik Absolute that only had to make a drive-through, which was significantly quicker than limping with a puncture, stopping in the lane, taking the bad one off, putting the new one on, fixing the pressure, and sending the car. So they'll be disappointed, but the pace between these 2 drivers combined has been really, really good. And now we're at a stage with only bronze drivers in the car. Piti Buriram is by far the quickest of all of them.
Yeah, that's not untoward to say that out there. 3:16 over the line, and that should leave times then on the board with 2 laps plus 1 left to go. So 3 laps left, I'd argue, in this race for this number 27. Daniel Bilski currently piloting for B-Quik Absolute Racing and will be very happy with that regard. Just had word in from race control that the incident at turn 8 between Lone Wolf and the double 8 of the Mark car there at Cree Racing, ultimately no further action has been called on that incident. So they've said, look, we've had a good long look at it. They took a good 10 minutes, David, to try and get to deliberation and decision on it. And they said, look, I think that's just a racing incident.
Sometimes racing happens. You'll see cars spin out sometimes when there's no one around. Sometimes it happens when they're closer or the leading car makes a little bit of a mistake. But, overall, it's been good to see that Mark car with consistency of pace across a long stint. Very, very good, because it's the racing that it's designed for, and with the assist that it's got. Something that the Porsche Cup car in 992.1 spec, Porsche Nerd Alert alarm, doesn't have as much of. And then the Ferrari's mainly designed for sprint racing, and sometimes its fuel tank hasn't even been long enough for these 1-hour races that endurance cars are designed for. So that Mark car has a lot of promise. Hopefully see it do well at Bang Seng.
Yeah, and I hope as well that we see a couple more of the GTMs out there, because PSC Motorsport have 2 entries, so we didn't quite get the chance to see the KTM Crossbow GT2 out there and running, and neither did we get to see the greatest team name in all of motorsport out there going and running, David, which is the Cabinet of Men Who Love Their Wives.
Okay, yes, I've previously commentated on racing with a team that was drinking team with a racing problem. So that's not quite as cool as our team here.
No, I would very much agree. I think it's a wonderful team name. They would have been running the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup, and Suntaya Kunklone would have been there as a solo driver effort as far as the season goes. But a real shame that they're not there. But 2 laps will be running on in left then for this one. As I'll tell you what, this is exactly the scenario that Henk Kiks would have wanted as team owner of B-Quik Absolute, to see a 1-2 out there. Okay, yes, it's not him who's up there at the front and getting the victory with Alessandro Guidetti, but what it will be is the understanding that here in this series, they are wresting control, David.
Yeah, just unfortunate for them that their Triple Eight is last and in the garage and not continuing. But overall, yeah, looking for a 1-2 that sets up a really interesting championship. Time elapsed means that the next time your outright leader comes by, about now, we begin the final lap.
Only just, though, and I mean only just, because they had about 2 seconds leeway crossing the line there for the hour. That could have been, we'll have to send you around once more, because you would have got that over and sorted. There is the pit wall looking ready and with a lot of anticipation for what has been, for that number 27, a very good day at the office. I believe that was Satapon Viracha there who was, it looks Satapon Viracha who was looking at that going, oh my, yes, we are getting absolutely this result, and we are going to be walking in as championship leaders to Bangsan, and that is going to be exactly what they were hoping for, and I think beyond that, into their wildest dreams, then for a GT3 AM effort to go and get that. This has been a weird day at the office where we've seen all of the big rivals either run into spins, punctures, penalties, you name it. It has been one of those days where the crazy race has gone out there, but this is one where this Audi, I think, has sat itself in play and has done very well. Henk Kiks is there in second position. He'll know and respect the job and what has been done today, and actually the wonder of the running. But there's an Aussie currently in the number 27 car that is about to head through the final couple of corners here, and if not to the last, and it is going to be a win of all wins that is going to set itself out in foot. What a day at the office for B-Quik Absolute Racing. Final corner and a mega win for the GT3 AM effort of Sathapon and Daniel Bilski.
Yeah, they're very, very happy on the pit wall. Daniel Bilski celebrates, giving it a little bit of a limiter bash from the V10. They're happy with that, and that caps off the weekend for them, where they can now maybe kick back and relax and take in what a great round they've had.
And not only that, this will be a 1-2 for the team here, and I think they will realise that that is absolutely ace. Here comes Henk Kiks over to the line, and we'll say thank you very much. A huge result as the team on goes, and the final places then will be set. There goes Buriram over the line, and the marked car, oh, it's going to be close for third now, and look at the chase late that's gone on through. Oh, this could be huge. This could be the moment that upsets the apple cart of the championship here for the race league coming out of it, because we could have, on count back, it going around somewhere else. So Buriram wants to try and get himself in. The AMG Mercedes has held its ground in nicely. Oh, it's gonna be enough to just hold. It's close, but not enough. What a run over to the line. A third place for Black Wolf Motorsport. They'll be very, very happy with that. Crossing just 0.2 of a second between them as they got to the line. Pity Biriram there. He had everybody panicking. There's your winner, though, in GTM, and it is the double done then for Saravat and Afiq. Then as they have set themselves into play and said, right, come catch us in GTM. There's your winner, though, David, and so thoroughly deserved.
It was all about staying out of trouble today, wasn't it? And they did. And then Daniel Bilski, very quick in that final stint, always amongst the top 3 fastest drivers when the bronzes were all in the car. So he's done that job for the team in the back part. His teammate done very well, keeping the car out of pit lane when it wasn't pit window time, and that set them up just perfectly. Compensation time played its role as well to let GT3 AM and GT3 Pro Am cars be able to battle each other, and we saw that for the final step in the outright podium, where Black Wolf Racing Australia just held on.
Black Wolf Racing Australia will be happy with that podium, but B-Quik Absolute Racing, a 1 and a 2. And that is what we would say a stellar day at the office then, as they have set themselves in. That will be the confirmation of the GT3 result as well. 2 GT3 AMs on the podium, by the way. That is what we call TSS Supercar GT3 GTM racing for you. Over in GTM, of course, it is the result of PSC Motorsport getting exactly what they want. Fire Monkey X Silver Rocket improve on yesterday up to second, and the penalties coming in for Cree Racing. So for Craig Corliss and Jalen Robotham, they find themselves there back in third. There is your winners, and ultimately it is a day where there was a lot to try and navigate through. Tough day at the office for Sandy there and the team over in the 888, as they just want to write this one off. Fastest lap, a 37 flat then from Compulsory, and as well with Singat Motorsport Team Thailand. An absolutely wonderful job of results out there, and lots of smiles all around here as the congratulations go around in the garage. And look at that big smile over then from Henk Kicks there. Boss man says, look, that is everything perfect there in terms of the results that we looked at, and a chance to breathe on what are very hot conditions there in the cars. If you think it's 35 outside, just imagine what it is inside. It'll probably be over 50.
Yeah, some of these cars have air conditioning, but it can only do so much to try to keep you cool in the conditions. The only driver I see not completely thrilled with themselves there, Alessandro Gueretti, will be looking at that finishing margin and going, 35 seconds behind the race winner is about the same time as a drive-through. It was so hectic in that front four in the initial parts. I mean, he lost his head a little bit, but he kept the tires and everyone else got punctures. So, yeah, you win some, you lose some. He might have thought the top step was possible, and he's definitely one of those drivers that will hold himself to a really high standard as one of the international pros that flies all around the world, hopping in customer Porsches in championships like here and other national championships, big races like the Spa 24. Yeah, your level of excitement and disappointment is always in relation to what you believe for yourself and the standard you hold yourself to.
Absolutely. The media then surrounds itself in the green and in the pink bibs that are out there, as well as the fans who have come out then to support as we sit around the garages. And we'll get down there in a moment's time to get interviews all set and sorted as they wander on and say what a day they have had. We've got GT4 and GTC that will be following on next, and then we'll be finishing off running action here from this circuit of the Chang International Circuit with your super pickups then to end off proceedings. That's the way that it is going to be playing out today. Back on schedule as far as this one all sets itself and sorted. The two teammates there, Dan Bilski, then having a very good chat out there over by the race-winning machinery at this point. But David, now is the chance where you get to breathe, and really the first chance to debrief on what happened over the course of the race.
That is every time. The weird thing about endurance races sometimes is, you know, your closest partner in the endeavor is your co-driver, but you're never in the same place at the same time while the race is ongoing. So this is the chance you get to go, hey mate, haven't actually been able to stop and have a chat for the last 65 minutes. What was the car doing for you? How did you feel? And in the case of some of these driver pairings where they're really, you know, good friends with a good relationship, they get to sort of pat each other on the back and take a big, deep breath.
I think we're going to be ready in a couple moments. I can eye up our interviewer ready then to get himself through a number of fantastic interviews down there.
สิ้นสุดแล้วนะครับสำหรับการแข่งขันใน
over.
รุ่นของ Thailand Supercar GT3 และ Thailand Supercar GTM นะครับตอนนี้เราจะมาพูดคุยกันก่อนนะครับสำหรับผู้ที่เข้ามาเป็นอันดับที่ 3 ของ Thailand Supercar GT3 นะครับเบนจามินสโกตนะครับแล้วก็ Wood Chains. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I heard you just come here for first time to Thailand.
First time to Thailand, first time in this series. It's been amazing. We had a slow start, but we've been chipping away and a little bit of luck, and here we are. And third, it's amazing. So, yeah, I can't ask for. The team's done an amazing job. Shane did a great job, and yeah, things fell our way. This one, last race, not so with a couple of punctures, but yeah, this one, yeah, amazing.
Yes, more amazing when you go to race in the backside street circuit. for the next race.
Yeah, that looks pretty scary, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, hopefully we come back in one piece. That's the goal. So we're over here to have a bit of fun. If we jag a result, that's awesome. But yeah, let's keep it straight and keep going.
Okay, so talk to the Thai fans who support you.
Yeah, thank you very much. All the Thai fans, it's been amazing. Everyone's coming up. It's got a fair bit of attention, probably because it's the only Mercedes. But yeah, I can't thank everyone enough. The officials, everyone around the circuit have been so accommodating and helpful, and just very nice and kind people. So, Swaddy Cup, I think I said that right.
Okay, very good. Congratulations. Okay, thank you. ก็เขาก็บอกว่าโอเคก็เป็นครั้งแรกที่มาที่นี่นะครับแล้วก็เป็นครั้งแรกในการแข่งขันในรายการนี้แล้วก็รู้สึกว่าดีแล้วก็ทุกๆในทีมงานก็ช่วยดูแลกันมานะครับแล้วก็ถามถึงบางแสนเขาก็บอกว่าเป็นสนามที่ดูน่ากลัวอะไรอย่างเงี้ยนะครับแต่ก็อยากจะลองดูอะไรอย่างเงี้ยครับแล้วขอบคุณแฟนๆที่ให้การสนับสนุนนะครับแล้วก็ดูแลกันไปเอาเป็นว่าตอนนี้เดี๋ยวไปปูกันก่อนแล้วสำหรับอันดับที่2นะครับของ Thailand Supercar GT3 นะครับเป็นของ B-Quik Absolute Racing Congratulations
Thank you.
Are you okay?
Here we are again.
Okay, how do you feel today?
It was chaotic, right?
Yes.
It was chaos, and but I mean, I'm happy to be here. I would like to be there,
Yeah.
but I'm happy to be here, so we'll take it.
So too, by the way, your team too.
I know, but I still like to win myself, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please, Alexander, how do you feel today?
Yeah, happy again with this P2, so big thanks to the team B-Quik Absolute Racing. Good job to my teammate, he sent it to the end. Yeah, so it was a good day overall. Happy to be back on podium.
Yeah, so for the next race, his first time.
It'll be his first time.
Yeah.
In GT3 in Buriram, it'll be in Bangsan.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, we come back stronger in Bangsan.
You told him about Bangsan?
Already, I showed him the video.
Okay.
So he knows it.
It looks to be a really cool place.
Okay, last question. Thank you to Thai fans.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, we've been racing. In the end, we do it as a sport, but we do it also for you to see it, right? So I know Buriram is a little bit far away for a lot of people, but Bangsan, no more excuses, right? Everybody got to come to Bangsan, and we'll put on a good show.
Thank you very much. Congratulations again. ครับเดี๋ยวไปต่อนะครับอันดับที่1ครับยังคงเป็นของ B-Quik Absolute Racing ครับ Congratulations you guys you did it today wow okay good to back again to the Thailand Supercar GT3 and Max too
Look, it's fantastic to be back, and I was just saying to Max,
yeah
the most important thing for us as an M pair, stay out of trouble, stay clean, don't make mistakes, do a perfect pit stop.
Yes.
Let everyone do what they do. We focus on what we know we can do, and today was a fantastic result for the team, and again, awesome drive by Max. And
so exactly Mr. Heng just told me this podium maybe it's him.
Look, the competition this year is super hard.
Okay.
The competition this year is super hard, and look, without trouble for.
Okay, hold on. Okay.
Without trouble for other cars, then maybe it was a different result. But that's racing, and you have to take advantage of the situation.
Yes.
And make sure you are in the situation to take advantage of issues. And we did that perfectly. Max was conservative at the start on purpose to stay clean. It paid off perfectly, and he did a fantastic drive, both stints today and yesterday. So,
okay,
congrats.
Very good today. You did a very great job today.
Very happy.
Andพี่แม็กซ์เป็นยังไงบ้างครับพี่วันนี้
ก่อนสตาร์ทคิดในหัวว่าต้องคีน no contact ทุกอย่างครับแต่ด้วยในสถานการณ์ที่ออกตัววันนี้ก็คือมันบีบบังคับที่มันออกตัวที่ไม่ดีแต่เราก็คุมสติกลับมาอยู่ในเพจเลสของเราให้มันทำเต็มที่ของเราอ่ะครับแต่ก็อาจจะมีโชคช่วยของเราด้วยแล้วก็มีเรื่องของคันหน้าที่นำอยู่ห่างกับเราไม่มากแล้วก็ความได้เปรียบของเราคืออยู่ในพิษที่น้อยกว่าก็คือคุณแดเนียลออกไปก็คือจบที่1นะครับผม
พี่แม็กครับทิ้งท้ายขบวนสั้นๆเวลามีน้อยเดี๋ยวไปนะฮะพี่แม็กฝากถึงแฟนๆหน่อยสำหรับ B-Quik Absolute Racing
ฝากติดตามผลงาน B-Quik Absolute Racing แล้วก็ B-Quik Racing สนามหน้าบางแสนด้วยนะครับผมฝากติดตามผมและแดเนียลแล้วก็ทีมด้วยนะครับผมขอบคุณครับ
ขอบพระคุณครับแสดงความยินดีครับ Congratulations again sir โอ้โห very good appreciate that so ไปต่อกันครับสำหรับรุ่น Thailand Supercar GTM นะครับอันดับที่3นะครับCraig you might okay โอเค correct มาแล้วครับ Congratulations Craig well done today
ครับ
How you feel hot
Super hot.
hot
Hot.
Yeah I know that hot Okay we have a little bit of time to just talk about today
Yeah,
and
very frustrating.
thank you.
Had a spin, and so I had to come in just to make sure I didn't have a flat tyre. And then after that, I put in some decent laps, but it's a bit too late. But I enjoyed it, and looking forward to the next round.
Okay, for the next race, Jane, just told the Thai fan and say thank you to supporting you.
Thank you for all the fans for watching us, and thanks to Craig and all the sponsors and the boys. They did a good job again today. We were close today. Car felt pretty good. Just had some issues with the engine heating, so I had to kind of back off a little bit. And the car had good speed at the end of the stint. So hopefully Bangsang we can go a bit better.
Okay, congratulations again, you guys. Okay, อันดับ2ครับไปต่อกันที่ Fire Monkey นะครับเป็นของ Simon Chan. Congratulations, guys. Okay.
I'm the checker flag guy.
Yeah. How do you feel today?
Yeah, better than yesterday.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Good for you.
To the weather, getting used to the car. Yeah.
Okay, Simon, you have to talk about the race, next race to the back, Sam.
Yeah, well, today I think much better. Like Ja said, the whole pace was a lot closer to compared to yesterday. So yes, next time Bangsang, I mean, I have some experience. I think Ja, first time for Bangsang, he is looking forward to it. So it will be a very exciting race. Yeah. I'm happy with P2 today.
Okay, just a question. Say the Thai fans.
Hi, see you all in Bangsang.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations again, guys. อันดับหนึ่งนะครับเป็นของ PSC Motorsport นะครับกับพี่กี้สราวุฒิเสรีธรณกุลแล้วก็อฟิกยาซีนนะครับรู้สึกว่ามีเรื่องราวอะไรจะพูดสักอย่างครับพี่กี้ครับ
ครับวันนี้ก็ภรรยาน่าจะดูอยู่ที่บ้านนะครับจริงอาทิตย์นี้ก็เป็นวันครบรอบ4 ปีแต่พอดีเขาติดธุระก็เลยมาดูไม่ได้ครับก็วันนี้วีคเอนด์นี้มีดับเบิลแชมป์เป็นของขวัญให้ครับ
ครับโอ้โหแสดงความยินดีมากๆครับพี่กี้ครับ
ครับแล้วเดี๋ยวกลับไปค่อยไปฉลองกันนะคะ
ครับโอเคนี่คือของขวัญนะครับที่พี่กี้มอบให้ภรรยานั่นเองครบรอบนั่นเองเลยครับ4 ปีนะครับแล้วก็ congratulations ทั้งคู่ด้วยนะครับพี่กี้ครับทิ้งท้ายถึงแฟนๆหน่อยครับ
ครับยังไงก็วันนี้ก็ขับเต็มที่ฝากเชียร์นะครับ PSC Motorsport ครับ
ครับขอบพระคุณครับอาฟิกครับ last question leave a comment to Thai fan who supporting you
Yeah thanks to the team we did a very good job for this weekend and we are happy so I hope to see you guys in Bangsan
Yes Thank you so much and congratulations again you guys ขอบคุณครับขอบคุณมากๆครับคุณผู้ชมครับยังไม่หมดเพียงเท่านี้นะครับเดี๋ยวเราไปดูกันต่อนะครับสำหรับรุ่นต่อไปตอนนี้ไปพบกับห้องบรรยายกันครับ
Well, what running we have had, and there's the confirmation then of the championship point system that is there in play as we'll get a little look then at what is an incredible run through of the highlights then running effectively formula point system 25, 18, 15 all the way down to 1 point for 10 and it sat itself up sprint races say for Super Eco pick up an 86 2015 12 10 5 8 6 4 3 2 and 1 is the way it goes 3 wide though it was in through turn 3 but the contact then on the outside between the AAA Audi there and the number 12 there Honda NSX making a huge difference then as they worked through on the exit of turn 3 there was the contact there as there was no room to be given bang front to rear and then that caused the dramas then of the tyres just going down and causing troubles. David, tyres I think were the main talking point of that race.
Yes, one punctured due to contact on the opening lap. Then in our GT3 Pro-Am battle for the outright, a few more went down. So you always had to have your spare tyres on deck and ready to go. This was a hair-raising moment for the car that ended up finishing in third. Backwards and finding a convenient bit of pavement rather than ending up beached in the gravel. This was a penalty for Alessandro Gueretti as he went for the race lead. Contact between the absolute B-Quik Porsche and Singer Motorsport Thailand's Ferrari resulted in a drive-through penalty. Later, there was a puncture for that Ferrari as well, and then the 888 ending up with a puncture as well. Chaotic opening 30 minutes. This is the right rear letting go. That car ended up not finishing the race either, so there may have been suspension damage on the right rear there as well. Sandy Stuvik saying, nope, no good, no more. It can't continue, unfortunately.
No, and I think that was a very tough day at the office. 26 needed to get out there and really start charging forward, but ultimately when the drivers changed around, that 27 car took wings out there and flew in the second half of the race, and so they managed to set themselves up. Then there was troubles with the Mark car that had contact again with your eventual third place finishing number 16 Mercedes, and how that didn't get beached is still a modern miracle to me.
Yeah, you thought that was going to be stuck in the gravel for all money. We've seen that happen for other cars this weekend. Not for the mighty Mark car. They got back and kept going. But your GT3 AM competitors in the number 27 car, Daniel Bilski and his co-driver prevailing. They said in the post-race interview to Goody there, all we can do as an AM pairing is make no mistakes in either stint and in our pit stop. What will fall will be, and for them, it's a race win in the opening round of the championship that fills them with so much hope and delight for the rest of the year to come as well.
Yeah, it absolutely will, and we'll be in with TSS Supercar GT4 and GTC in just a few moments. We'll see you in about 3.5 as we get ourselves ready for racing action coming up for your second run of the afternoon. TSS Supercar GT4 and GTC a couple minutes away from getting set off and situated. It's Jake Sperry and David Haynes who are here to bring you through all of the action and what is a very interesting category to set itself off into play as we get ourselves then running in through. Let's talk about what happened a day ago, David, here as they set themselves through, because I think that it was a run that, as far as everyone was looking for, it wasn't quite the day at the office some were looking at, but it was one where if you made the way up, it was key. So it was a case that Injing X Autoworks Racing 95 ended up taking it over Wing Hin Motorsports and then Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand. They would have been very happy with the efforts that were put in. Petrolife ended up in fourth position with the two AAS Motorsport Porsches that ran themselves into troubles. And critically there, Natavud and Manat then having happy runnings then for Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand, then 8th and 10th in GTC. A real shame yesterday to not see the Speed Factory ETS machine out there and running. They would have been out there in the Trans Am NZ-TA2 Ford Mustang, which I can confirm is running today, and that's going to be a real joy.
Yep, saw it on the grid. Seen one of our Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand Supras in the pit lane, looking to make a pit lane start. Rules are very similar in this GT4 GTC race as they were in GT3 GTM. It's 60 minutes plus a lap. You've got to make a compulsory pit stop in the window in the middle of the race. Driver changes for almost every car, and based on the driver categorizations and previous results, we have different compensation times in the pit lane. Some with all silver drivers and a podium under their belt are going to have some significantly longer stops than our all bronze combinations that were not successful in race one. So once you have that first race of the season, it levels things off a little bit more in every subsequent race. And we have a great field of the GT4 and GTC cars. Many Toyota Supras returning, AAS with their Porsche Caymans out there, and beautiful new liveries for Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand in that deep, rich red and white, and AAS their Porsches also with some new liveries. The field looks gorgeous in 2026.
They absolutely do, and I would say it has a little bit of a sense of being a Toyota Supra category there with the combination of the two Porsches in there in GT4. Of course, it's a lot easier to get those Evo 2s in and looking by the sounds of things there, but the Corolla is up on the grid and will have the ability to go and run by the looks of things as they sit behind the pace car here and look to get their lap in as they start putting the tyres up to temperature and start considering how they go. 1,400 kilograms of dry weight then in the TSS Supercar GT4s, 400 brake horsepower and speeds of roughly 270 kilometers an hour. It's a road car gearbox that they have to use, so they don't have anything special to go and work with, so they've got to play with what they've got. Rear-wheel drive, road car engines, and the road car chassis and body shell then being run for it. No looks around then today of an AMG Mercedes, which is going to be a shame as far as that all sets itself off and go, because I'm pretty sure we would love to see one of the Mercedes out there and running. But in GTC here, David, it's a case where the speeds are a little bit more down on it, but the dry weight's lighter as well, so that gives yourself a little bit more luxury, as well as you can have any drivetrain you want.
Yeah, it's the category for cars that are outside of global SRO GT4 homologation, but fit this kind of style of racing and this kind of pace. So you've got the Toyota GR Supra GTC. You spot it because it looks a little bit wider, and I think it's got a V8. And then the Toyota Corolla Altis GTC and that Ford Mustang TA2. These are the tyres that they're on from Pirelli, DHF and DHG tyres available. The DHG are the slightly newer specification, slightly updated. This is Chang International Circuit.
It is 3 sectors and a circuit that runs itself clockwise as you look to push through, and Buriram as a place, or the Chang International Circuit, is a place where you get a lot of amazing running that goes through, and sport very much runs big now as they have built up the culture over the last 15 years to 20 years or so. This is race 2, and they will know and understand the role and responsibility that they will have. So it's the combination of Wong and Che. It will be Mitchell Che who will be in the car with Hayden Heikal then in for the number 77 at Petrolife. You then got AAS Motorsport 91 and then the 11 with Akrapong there in 4th position. AAS number 9 will go from 5th with the race-winning Injing X Autoworks number 95 there in 6th position with the 22 in 7th and then N Sports in 8th. Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand 9th in their category in GT4. As GTC looks to set itself in, it was a case where Nadal will go for the 2 Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand team cars, and then Damien from the back then in Speed Factory. Already around the final corner and in their category marks. Let's get ourselves set then and going. An hour on the clock plus a lap. We are underway. Immediately one of the Porsches there of AAS moves across the middle and gets up to 3rd position and might look around the outside for 2nd. 39 then a Mitchell Che is going to be unchallenged, but it's Porsches 2 and 3 as they will all take a mile wide as they go through at turn number 1. But now as they set through, there is the 19 that had to start down on pit lane, which is which will be Sutapong, who is there out there, but side by side it is as they go into turn 3, 2, almost 3 wide as they work through. There might be a pinch in the middle. Porsche has to back out of it there, and ultimately that will allow the 77 back into 3rd.
Hopefully no punctures for GT4. We head down towards turn 4, and they get mainly single file, still trying to build up some tyre temperature. Just the one formation lap for these cars. Turn 4, fearsome in any machinery. These cars less downforce, less grip than we just saw from GT3, but no less ambition.
That's a pass down the inside then, and Hayden Heikal's not messing about then. He moves himself up into 2nd place and will now want to try and start running away with this one and saying, I've got to stay with that number 39 car out there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all pushing through turn number 8 then as far as it goes, and now really looking at trying to just find that opportunity here in the race. And those Porsches there, those Cayman Clubmans are going to be saying, right, we want a real good chance of going out there fighting and looking to try and win this race, because I don't think they got a fair shot of it last time out. Troubles falling them. So the 91 there in 3rd position of currently Cantity there, who will be setting up into position, and then you turn around and say, right, there's the number 9 that wants to get in, so that is Thanapatra, who will be in the car right now and really trying to make sure that there's no real threat behind there from Akrapong in 5th, who was 3rd last time we were here yesterday.
We've all got to mind our track limits a little bit more now as we begin lap 2. And as we head down towards turn 3, biggest braking zone on the lap. That's the number 9, Thanapatra, moving around the road a little bit. Akrapong will keep that pressure on. You've got to stop the car and turn it, something that Cayman should be okay at. Really close with those different diverging lines through the turn 3 hairpin you were talking about at late apex versus the diamond.
And you see that again, that the diamond will get you off the corner quicker, but if you're going to leave your flank exposed, expect someone to try and nip up your inside and undercut you, and that looked like a case there where it could have very easily have been trouble for Thanapatra out there on track. So that would be a little troublesome if it were to have gone the way like that, but ultimately able to hold the line, able to hold the station out there, and some pretty big scraps there. That's wide out there. Oh, that's a big amount of trouble there for the 24. That is Nadal from the lead, still stuck in the door there, but the car has absolutely overheated it and it's going to be off the road. And I think that might, yes it has, it's thrown a safety car. Oh, it's caught fire. The back's caught fire.
That's why he was in such a hurry to get out of there, and you saw it coming out from underneath the bonnet. It was the whole length underneath the car, and in a real hurry to get out of there. You saw it in the footwell. My goodness, that's why you'd get out in a hurry. And in a case of a fire, when the driver is in such a rush to get out, you've got to throw a safety car. I've seen red flags even get thrown sometimes, because in some other cases, the driver might wait in the car after an incident, after a mechanical issue, but you can't when there's fire, so safety car almost immediately.
Well, at least the team are having a bit of a smile about it as far as that goes, but that would have been a very scary situation for a driver to be involved in, to see fire jumping into the cockpit as you go through and immediately trying to get something to look at it. So the crews are on the scene, and they'll be looking at this to try and make sure that there is a way that they get themselves all on and sorted there. But a worrying sight then to start things off, but they will bunch the field back up together. So they haven't really had many laps to get themselves in under the belt and to understand what this circuit has to offer for them here with an extra day's worth of rubber. There was maybe a little bit of rain yesterday evening that might have come across the circuit and may have made the surface a little bit more slippery than it was, so it's not going to be as dirty as maybe you'd have expected it to be, but ultimately it pulls the field back into line and file. And Mitchell Chair here is going to be looking around at this going, well, I might not have a gap, but what I can guarantee is I will be in this race lead until at least the safety car departs.
Yeah, who this benefits is the GT4 AM cars, because the longer the field stays tightly bunched, the less time they're losing on track. They get towards the compulsory pit stop window, and they have shorter compensation times. So the more densely packed the field stays towards that pit stop window, the better it is for the GT4 AM cars. And we are losing our first car, it seems, from this race, from the GTC category. That was the Toyota GR Super GTC. The Corolla Altis GTC keeps going, and unfortunately, it seems like the Trans Am TA2 Mustang of Damian Hamilton has entered the pits, so they might also be having mechanical issues, but this is another look. It's scary stuff, honestly. It's inside the cockpit there, big time.
Wow, that just shows you that motorsport is very much a real and dangerous sport there. As it
I'd forget my radio too, man. In that kind of situation, I'd forget I was plugged into a radio. My goodness.
Look,
I don't wish that on anyone. I don't wish to be a part of that. That's scarier than any incident.
And what you got to remember as well, your first natural instinct when you're put into a fight or flight situation like that, David, is just get out. And that's the key there. Wouldn't have known that he wouldn't have thought about the radio still being connected. It's right, I've got to get out of this car and I've got to get away from it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and did. I mean, from the moment you saw the first flame, just braked, pulled away straight. Door was open before the car came to a stop. And he was getting out of there. So, again, the teams with less pit stop compensation time to come are loving this time behind safety car. Keeps them in touch with the faster drivers that can't get away and will have longer pit stop times to come. The 123 seconds after being second in race number 1. That's your leading car. Second place on track for the moment. Have 130 seconds because of the silver-silver combination between Hayden Haikal and Anna Thorne. So they're not liking this as well. They'd like to be using their silver drivers to get away.
Overtake under safety car, under investigation. Now that's going to be more I don't have any more information than that, but that's going to be more than just I went by another car. They will look at that, and a safety car situation is the field is neutralized, and it is to prioritize the safety of the circuit and the people around. If you overtake under safety car, they are absolutely going to hammer you down on it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not going to be a 5-second penalty like knocking over the cone, I wouldn't imagine, depending on exactly the circumstances, when and where it happened, how much forewarning there was. This is a modern track. You've seen all of the digital flag boards around the place. There's one, for example, on the gantry here. The side facing the drivers will be even larger and brighter and flashy, letting them know if there's a yellow flag, a blue flag, a safety car in this case. And there goes the... Can
I just appreciate the fact that it's on a big boy slide, apparently?
This is a really good one. You see the way that the flatbed part cantilevers down, very easy to get low race cars onto it, and then lifted back up. So yeah, we love a good recovery vehicle. Big boy slide, that's up there. love a FOD boss, like steps towing in IMSA.
That there is a lot of great joy that can be had there with the towing system. Safety car will enter the pits at the end of this lap, so they will be back up to running then as they go. They've managed to chalk off a few seconds and minutes off the clock, so effectively we've lost about 5 minutes there from the fire. Then has befallen Nadal, who was the leader of GTC, and ultimately there a big dramatic run then has come to a shuddering end then as far as that one all sets itself about the Supra done and dusted. But as far as they go, they leave the gap, and the pace will be back in control of Mitchell Che, then the driver from Hong Kong. He's got the Malaysian there of Hayden Haikal behind, looking to go and give chase. And we note that the Tasman of Damien Hamilton had a lot of effort to try and get it out, and now we'll have we'll now see it back in pits, and that's a real shame. Green flag back in the air though, and we are back underway. And how is the jump off of the start? Well, I wouldn't say that is the greatest jump in the world. Very much a case that Petrolife number 77 Supra has kept itself right in the wheelhouse.
Yeah, so some of our silver drivers get to muscle it out up the front here, and it's back in 6th place. You find the GT4 AM car. It's going to have the shortest pit stop.
Now running through. Oh, here comes the lunge down the inside then at turn 3. That is a big old late send to try and get it done by Hayden Haikal. He doesn't quite get enough for a drive through the middle of it, but ultimately that's going to set itself up in the mark that it's got. We're now down to just one car out there in GTC. So that will be very happy days then for the number 37 bronze silver combination through 4 into turn 5. And again, Hayden Haikal looks to try and get this done down the inside. Room being given, but they're going to have to scrap this one through 6. And the inside is going to be the other way around at 7. Look at them, almost leaning on each other. Mitchell Che trying to push him out of line. And Cantadi Kusuri is now, Kadiri's going to get through. He's going to get one. And AAS Porsche's Clubman is going to try to go for the lead, trying to go to the outside. There's contact between them, 3 wide, over towards turn 9. My goodness, they're racing like it's the last lap. Petrolife take the lead.
It's a 5-way scrap for the lead. A little bit of contact there. Hopefully not too much damage done to the number 39. Car almost leapt up in the air. And we've seen that the tyres in these kind of temperatures don't like that sort of thing.
My, oh my, what a battle. And now the 39 getting itself in and involved out there. Mitchell Che started this lap first. He's now back to 4th position. And don't count out Akrapon there. And also your winners of the 95 last time out then yesterday. They're going to push together the 11 and the 95. And they're going to want to get themselves into play. That will, of course, be Injing X Autoworks. And that's Troubles trying to get back out and around the GTC. Has obviously run into troubles there. So the Mustang is limping around the grass.
So it was in pit lane for almost 10 minutes from before that safety car through the safety car. Seems to have just come out, and whatever the issues are, it's not going well, unfortunately, for the Ford Mustang TA2. We might have lost 2 cars from GTC.
Coming through 3 and over towards turn 4. I think they might have just put it by one of the exit marshal posts there, and they might be able to get that away without any worries at all then as it sets about. But Haikal in control. Then you've got both Porsches, 91 followed by 9, as they set themselves then into position. And that is a wonderful, wonderful amount of drive there by Kantati Kusuri. And then behind that, you've got Thanapatra, who is sat there in the number 9 and saying, look, we're going to be in a good position. Now, effectively, having to play the rear gunner role at this moment with the very fast Mitchell Che now needing to try and just find that rhythm after basically getting hit by an Alexander Usyk right hand, looking to try and find a way to get back into this race after what was a very, very tough restart lap.
The cars are always so close in GT4, and it helps with so many Supras and the 2 Caymans up front here. but it's a new fastest lap of the race from your race leader. Hayden Haikal wants to get away from the scrap because as you battle, you lose time. And as you slide through turn 1 on this onboard here with the number 11 in 5th place, Akrapong, yeah, it's showing how challenging it is out there.
It is a really strong challenge, and it's worth noting that, that's a little bit of a wide line taken, trying to get the drive. Then through is the 11, which will have 135 seconds stationary at the stop. Mitchell Chair, for example, in that number 39, 123 seconds out there. The 95 that sits on the back of this in 6th place, they've got 105 seconds only, so they're looking really good as far as this race is setting itself out here through this top 6. 113 seconds though. I think it's advantage to Compulsory and as well to Dechiton then, who will be going through into the car afterwards. 113 seconds, they'll turn around at that and say, perfect, we can get daylight with that.
As we rode on board with the number 11 Toyota GR Super GT4, our director was looking exactly where I was looking at the speed readout on the dash, almost 240 k's an hour for these cars, and then they corner very effectively with all of the advancements they've got as factory racing cars, and race they shall. This has been so exciting, it's so close. We're finally getting a little bit of rhythm here, the field spacing out a little bit before they'll be likely compressed again by those compensation times in the pit stop you were covering off.
Yeah, so keep an eye on those, as again there's a wiggle into one for Mitchell Chair at the number 39 Wing Hin Motorsport Supra, and trying to find the way that gets the pass sorted. And ultimately, Hayden Haikal out to a 1.5 seconds now, will be very happy about the times that are being found. Into turn 3, look at how it pitches that 39, always trying to break away then, both running incredibly deep, and that's out on the dirty stuff there on the white line there from Mitchell Chair. So Akrapong can just stare at that, can just look at that, David, and say, okay, you're driving a little bit too much and you might be overcompensating for the 3 places you lost on that restart.
Don't hit that bollard on the inside of turn 4. It'll cost you 4,000 baht if you do. If you hit the cones in pit exit, it'll cost you 5 seconds. Depends what's in your bank account, which one you'd rather do. Yeah.
It is absolutely pick your poison at that point, but turn 4's bollard, you don't want to take it away, and I think we saw that when the trucks basically put themselves out on circuit, and they'll be coming up to finish off racing action here in Buriram after this. So that's going to be very important to note that we're going to have an absolutely all-out scrap out there. 16, that is Natanan, who will get a black and white flag shown for exceeding track limits. So no more of that, please.
So easily done, as we've seen even from the onboard. You know, what looked like a good line through turn 1 had a little bit of a wiggle and then walked out wide. So the best of intentions can still lead you to exceeding the track limits in these places, in these challenging conditions and the style of racing that we're having. So it's proving that sort of 3rd, 4th, 5th is the closest group here.
Yeah, so 3rd, 4th and 5th pretty much together on there, and also black and white flags for track limits for 19 and 39 out there. So that will be Sutipong, and also out there the 39 of Mitchell Chair there for Wing Hin. So that's going to make a little bit of a concern out there for how much are you pushing, but this looks like a good run here from Wing Hin Motorsports. They've got a really good chance here of making this pass to go to 3rd, but on that phase that they need there, it's a case that the Cayman has got maybe a little bit more in the back pocket. So that is going to be a case of where do you find it. It's a case of a pocket rocket. That's a mistake under brakes though, and it opens up the door coming out of 5, but that has stayed very nice and shallow to cover off the mistake up through 6 and into 7. So this is some good defensive pressure being I would say, held at the moment, absorbed by Thanapatra.
Watch those track limits and watch those bollards, but also watch the lap times. Last lap was a new fastest lap of the race from Hayden Haikal leading the race. He's stretching away, but deeper in the field, some of the other cars are finding personal bests. So our only GTC car still running, the Altus Corolla GTC, finds a new PB.
And that new PB, I think, is going to be really important. Now, note as well these times that they are running at this stage. They are going quick, not as quick as yesterday, where they set a new track record out there, breaking into the 1:43s, and that put them into a position where they were looking around at beating the likes of the TCR touring car of Gianni Morbidelli, which he did in a Honda Civic Type R back in 2015. So they are running really, really quick here. These Evo 2 are lightning fast, and so this is a chance to really just turn on the taps, build a gap, and this is a must-make gap right now for the 77, which sits 5 seconds ahead of that group and 8 ahead of the 95. So that will keep them pushing as far as it goes, and they will look at that, 2 tyres over the curb, trying to take as much out of turn 4. If there's any corner you've got to be the most committed for, it's that one at 4, and they don't build many corners that feel like an absolute slingshot anymore.
No, it's great. I love it. Take a look at that. The driver's side mirror is folded in for candidate Kasiri. You remember we had that contact, that door banging at this part of the track earlier on. I think it's pushed his mirror in. So he only needs to look forward, don't look back.
Now, I would look at the pit stop window that opens in about 4 minutes and 43 seconds here, David. Do you think one of the members of the crew is just going to go with it and just pull it back out again?
Something to keep an eye on. If I was the driver, I'd say, no, it's fine like that. Look at my straight line speed, and also, you know, I don't need to look backwards. Mirrors are for people with regrets.
A final warning then for Mitchell Che for exceeding track limits. He cannot keep going outside of the boundaries. He's pushing really hard to give Dana Patra something to think about here, as there is the 95 who won yesterday in 6th position, in roughly about the same position that they were. Now, this is 2 bronze drivers out there, David, and with that victory, they go from 90 seconds to 105 seconds worth at the stop. But still, that is over 25 seconds that they will get at the pit stop compared to some of their competitors.
Yeah, still shorter than some of the silver-silver combinations in GT4 Pro, which includes the race-leading 77. So again, another car that benefited from that early safety car. I'd love another one right before the safety car window. Don't bet on it, don't wish for it, but it's possible.
Oh, it's close. Heading here towards 4, working on the side, drop around the outside. Is this going to be able to be held in the limits? Yeah, no, he's pushed out. He's pushed out there. The 9 holds a very heavy defence. Still trying to hold around the outside to keep that position. Dana Patra there gets the elbows down, and that has opened the door up now for Akrapong to go and start having a look for it then. On the outside of turn 7, looking for this move. Gets 2 tyres out over the outside of the curb, trying to go around the outside of turn 8, but Mitchell Che just covers off the mark.
2 great teams here, Wing Hin Motorsports and Toyota Gazoo Racing Team Thailand. The cars are identical in specification, in homologation. The differences comes down to the drivers. It comes down to things like setup and tyre pressures and all of those little parts. Love the wing mirrors representing both of the drivers for Wing Hin.
I love that as well. It was something I noted yesterday. I thought that looked absolutely ace in terms of the design, but this is really setting itself as one where it is attack or be attacked out there at this point. Some light flashing there back then from Andrew, who is looking to try and keep himself then in the mix then at the Yinging Autoworks 95, and so this could be one where they keep focus on it. Car 22 now is going to get a look there. That's Warren out there for the limits, and a final warning as well for the 16 of of Natanan then for the limits too. So ultimately more limits being thrown in, and you've got to be very, very cautious out there. Thanakorn currently behind the wheel of the 22, but this is attack or be attacked, and if you're in the 39th position, you want to get by the 9, but you're in Schrodinger's overtake. You must attack and defend at the same time.
Traction out of the slow corners, very good for that Toyota Supra. Seems pretty good in a straight line too, but you get into these twistier sections, the changes of direction and trying to hold a tight line, and the Porsche Cayman seems just a little bit stronger there. Look to the 22. They are second in GT4 AM.
Yeah, and so this is going to be another final warning that comes across then, and a 5-second time penalty will be added to car 39 for abusing the track limits. So they have said, right, no more. You're going to get an extra 5 seconds to sit down at the pit stop, and if you keep doing so, it's 10 and 15. How many penalties do you want until you get the message?
Yeah, so a little bit of a settle down's got to happen, but again, sometimes it's this burst into the race where you've got to make moves, got to build gap when the compensation time is against you, or you've front-loaded your driving time in a sort of silver-bronze combination, and you're trying to lay a foundation for your bronze driver.
Well,
and one of the other
absolutely
Supras
in sync out here. So we'll say it twice. They've got a 5-second time penalty added on.
Yeah, looking through the field at everyone else still running on track, and I think this very well may be the second last car running. No, just the 2 retirements. Just the 2 retirements, so 10 running, and this car was in 8th.
Pit window officially open then, because we hold up a sign and say the pit window is open, so everybody in the grandstands can see and all the teams down the paddock can. I love that in terms of the way that that sets itself into play. Seoul running GTC out there. This is Natapong out there just trying to get the car rolling around out there, and knows that just finished the Toyota Corolla Altis, or apparently it's marked down in our timing screen, it's a Toyota Corolla Altis out there at this point in time.
Oh geez, I hope it's not an outbreak.
Oh, goodness gracious, David. But ultimately, it's out there and it's doing a wonderful job. You continue, you've got me.
Well, I mean, the thing is, there's no one left in their class to race with 2 retirements, so there is no one to outbreak.
No, you are very true in that regard, in the sense that all they can do is battle with the GT4s that are in and around. They've got 15 seconds here on Sutapong out there for position, and says, oh, that's good. Oh, that's long into the box there. Very aggressive in goes Thanapatra there. Looking to make that stop, and now turning around and saying, right, we've got to get a new driver in out there, which should be in the stop, Kumik, who will be into the car. So that'll be Kumik Karnasutra, who will be into play. And now also jumping in is Thanakorn in the 22 there for Inging Autoworks. This should be now into the car, Warren, who will be jumping in and taking this next stage.
Yeah, and this will be one of the shorter stops, just 90 seconds for the number 22, with the bronze-bronze combination of Thanakorn handing over to Warren Aduliavichta. And they don't seem to quite be in the hurry of this driver swap that you'd expect from a 90-second stop. There's some hurry from the crew, just checking the tyres, checking all the pressures, and you've got a driver assistant there. That's always so useful to have. Someone else will run around and help you with the radio, the belts that you can't quite reach, and just making sure it's all set up. 19 in the lane. This will also be a 90-second stop. Grant Superfong and Sutapong Smita Charch.
Yeah, so they'll be in. And I just want to get your opinion here, David, on the really cool bike helmets that they're running here in the pits.
Yeah, so no refueling in the pit lane, so you don't need a full face visor, and you don't need to be wearing a fire suit. You've seen that from the pit stops. You got guys running around with those helmets on and shorts, so you just need to be protected from a flying rattle gun or a piece of debris. You don't need to be protected from fire.
Sorry, someone has been a naughty boy and has sped on the pit entry line out there, and has seen this one go exactly not how you want it to. So that is going to be a case of you are going to get slapped with it, and the question is by how much. We saw someone in the GT3s yesterday. I believe it was ultimately going to be really tough. That was about 20 kilometers an hour difference. That was the Yarrow yesterday who managed that in the 888. So how much of an overspeed are we talking on the radar gun?
Yeah, now there's 2 things. One of them is pit entry speed. The other one is pit entry line. So, yeah, just maybe cutting from one side of the racing line across the white line in pit entry, not following the lane that you're supposed to. We'll keep up on that. But yeah, pit stops done for the 22. 2 minutes 14 is a little bit longer than the 90 seconds they were aiming for.
Yeah, so that's not gone the way that they want to, so they've basically handed another 45 seconds basically out then of out to everyone else. There's the 19 then that's looking here of Grant trying to get back up to speed again and making this pit window set itself up into play. It is car 19 that is under investigation at the moment, who is exactly on screen right now. So they'll be turning around and going, oh dear, it's us, is it? Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, so the first driver bringing it in, and their very last action could land this car a penalty before they hand over to their teammate who'll have to serve it if there is one. They'll be hoping that there isn't in this bronze combination car from Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand. Last year's livery was kind of mainly black and white. This year's livery that they've brought to all of the categories, such a gorgeous colour of red. Love to see it. Beautiful livery from a team that's doing a lot to support racing in Thailand across multiple categories, and we're going to see even more of come next round at Bang Sen.
Yeah, there's the 2-dub Inging Autoworks 95, which is out there, and car 19 will get a 5-second time penalty on the pit entry line. Then that will certainly sting as far as that goes. Still waiting though, of course. We expect the pro drivers to stay out as long as they can before the gentleman drivers then jump in. Hayden Heikal at this moment in time holding a margin, but it's only 5 seconds over Compulsory out there with Dechathorn, who will be coming into the car next, and then Ananthorn, who will be there in and play. There's the confirmation there from race control that it's a black and white flag for track limit for the number 95 machine as well, which had just jumped into pit, so that would be difficult out there. A couple takes there from the 19, trying to really work through, and overcooks it out of turn 3, really trying to stamp down the foot down off of the exit of the corner.
Just got 5 cars yet to hit pit lane, and that's the 95 leaving their pit box and rolling down towards the exit. Mind those cones that have been dutifully uprighted for this race.
I always seem to remark that it's got members of the Toy Story 2 cast underneath them, the way they used to cross the road. But ultimately, at this stage, it's a case of you hold your breath every time you go by them, and they get back underway, and they're going to come out directly behind the 11 out there of Atherapon.
A lap apart.
So that is going to be them 1 lap down, but that is still a really good marker site for them, that they can sit back, gather a free toe along the straights here, David, and that's exactly what you'd want for an outlap.
Yeah, these 2-minute pit times very easily put you a lap down until everyone has made their stops. And so with 3 minutes left in the window, there's a few of these cars that are still going longer, and so they'll get the lap back in the 95, and their real comparison is some of the other cars yet to stop.
Damien Hamilton's Tasman is still there, or the Trans Am is still there, and is struggling. Now in comes the 37 Corolla in to make a stop, and this will be the driver change, and ultimately right-hand side drive, so you've got to run around the other side of the cockpit to get in it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that the Supra GT4 is homologated as a left-hand drive car. That car developed by Toyota Racing in Germany, and the trend has become for all GT3, GT4 cars to be left-hand drive, even things like the Aston Martin, the McLaren, some that were right-hand drive GT3 cars now left-hand drive, and that's also a common thing for GT4. They're worldwide homologated cars, whereas that in GTC is a locally developed car. It's right-hand drive. So was the other Supra.
Yep, so it was. So in comes the 39 and the 11 making their stops. It just leaves out the 91 and 77 as far as they go, and I think that 91's there. Oh, it's knocked over. Then the pit marker board down in making the stop. We know that they've got to have an extra 5 seconds here when they put in Wong into the car, so that is going to be the change there, as Ryan Wong will be the next one who gets on in. But now you're starting to think about, okay, you assess the damage after the stops, not in the sense of you've done any damage out there on the car, that you've got a bit of issue out there where you've knocked into someone else. It's more of the sense of how much time did we gain or lose by our pit stop cycle.
And that number 11 will have the longest pit stop of everyone. A silver-silver combination that finished third yesterday gives them 135 seconds of lane transit time, over 2 minutes, 2 minutes 15 seconds. Yeah, Chris Vazarapna. Don't want them to get too hot. Heat soak's a real thing.
Oh, it very much is, and braking performance, you know, you get anything that goes in between the brake caliber and the disc, and you just go, oh, that's not going to help me in terms of how I'm going to get myself through.
And you know how it goes. You're holding a leaf blower, everything looks like a leaf.
Yeah. You are technically correct, which is the best kind. In comes the 77 then, out there at this point, and for the moment it is Hayden Heikal who absolutely pushed it in with about 17 seconds on the clock now before the lane closes, and also in is Compulsory to make the stop too. So perfect on the marks, and there you go, absolutely lovely in the box. Let's get that all sorted, and look at that, double leaf blower there, and then miniature leaf blowers there for the radiators on the front.
Yeah, when all you've got is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, and when you've got a leaf blower, you want to make sure everything stays cool. Driver change for the 77. That was the race leading car, but it is going to be a long enough stop for them, and they've just snuck in before the pit window closes.
So this stop, I think, is going to be the telling mark as we get things in. And this is what you also see on these sorts of changes. It's something you'd see in the likes of British GT, for example, out there, that the drivers, some drivers will actually physically help strap the other drivers back in with their seatbelt and harness.
Yeah, in the racing I've done, when it's a cheap team, when you're getting out of the car, you've got to help the next driver get in. And when you've got the luxury of a driver assistant and a couple of more people for the pit stop, you love having someone else help you out of the car and help the next person in the car, and you're so sweaty getting out of the car, getting out of the seat. You just want to be done ASAP. So it's always good if you can get a driver assistant, but sometimes you don't, and you don't have that available to you. What happened to my fluffy meringue clouds?
They're not there anymore, and I would say there are pit stop times under investigation now too. So someone has not come in and served the requisite time that they need to, and that is going to be, if they get that, a penalty here, David. Back into the pit, serve the remaining time, and get back out again.
Yeah, so it acts like a drive-through penalty. So if you cut your stop short by 10 seconds, then you get a 10-second stop and hold. So you come back, you serve that remaining time, and the penalty on top is effective to a drive-through.
That was slow on the go. That took about 2 seconds. Look at that from the 91. Dechathorn is going to get a huge mark off and away, and that is the 95 directly behind for position. So that would have been for the lead. There's the 77 that comes out of the pit, and they're going to be miles back.
Their minimum time was 2 minutes 10. They've transited the lane in 2 minutes 18. So yeah, they have gone and lost perhaps a little over 5 seconds compared to what you would have aimed for.
Yep, so they're now going to look at this and think, oh no, we're going to be on the back foot trying to fight through. Ananthon is going to have a very strong final 22.5 minutes to go and get this race back into control after dominating the early proceedings. And it was exactly the same story that they had, of course, in race number 1. They dominated the early proceedings, then the times came along and they couldn't chase it down quick enough to get the result that was needed. They ended up 4th in the end in race 1 out there. So they've got a lot to do at Petrolife Racing Team to go and get their Supra Evo back into play. We'll get the confirmation when they all cross the line on where everyone then stacks out, but it's looking to me like this is going to be a very, very tense final few minutes out there. 1 second penalty car, 95 from second position. Oh, that's going to sting.
So the pit stop time needed to be a minute 45. It was a minute 44. So they basically come take a stop and go penalty for cutting that one short. Normally there's a display in the dash that can help you time it perfectly, and you time the lane and you try not to release the car too early. They may have just done so.
And it's one of those where you say it's 1 second. It's not one of those where it rounds up, David, and you say 144.9 is 145.
No, not on these margins. Short is short. So this is the car that is going to have to serve that drive-through. As everyone's completed their compulsory pit stops, the pit windows close, they cycle around, and we take stock of the gaps. So this is first and second, and they could have been challenging for this race lead. Now they've got to take a drive-through. They're only 13 seconds ahead of third, 20 seconds ahead of fourth, 25 seconds ahead of fifth. How much is that stop and go going to cost them? In my head, I'm thinking 30-ish seconds as a minimum.
Well, I'm looking at they could have been waltzing into Bangsen as championship leaders there in the number 95, but now I start to look around at where Winghin are by comparison. They're going to be trying to move on up into fourth position. You've then also got Akurapong there in 11, and there is car 95 under investigation as well for their pit lane speed.
Well, maybe they were a second short because they were speeding. That'd be a double whammy, wouldn't it? Speeding on pit exit meant that you got through the lane too quickly and didn't complete your minimum time, perhaps. So that's so nasty for a car that had such a great day yesterday and a crew that would have been riding high.
And there they go. There's the moment that the number 91 Porsche is going to start walking away from the rest of the field, and the 77 will move up into second. But how big is the damage going to be here? Stop in the box. One. Oh, that's a big long one out there in the stop. That was the sort of one you tell your toddler how to count with one.
Yeah. 1 Buriram, 2 Buriram, 3 Buriram. Okay, go.
Well, they're going to be off and away, and you can see there so many going by. I think that is Ryan Wong there in the 39 that's just gone by, so that will drop them out into fifth position. And it's 10 seconds for speeding in the lane. They get a 10-second time penalty added on, so they're not going to be mean and chuck them back in again for it, but wherever they finish, add 10 onto it.
Yeah, we'll see where they blend out, but you're looking at the race-leading car right now. Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 RS Club Sport. This is the most modern specification. You can tell it from the previous one because behind the driver and passenger door, there's an extra intake that feeds the engine direct air from where there usually would be a window. Did they fix the mirror? Was that on the other car?
No, it wasn't the 95 that had the wing mirror, but ultimately I think it was the car that was out there and really pushing for it. So keep an eye out on it. It wasn't the 39, I think it was the 11 that had the mirror.
Okay, I thought it was the other. It was one of the Porsches, of which there's two, so it could also be the number 9 car.
Yeah.
Kmick's currently in third on track, so having been elevated by the penalty and penalties for this 95. Compulsory pit stop done for everyone, but not cleanly for everyone, as we're learning.
Yeah, and as far as it goes, if it's not been the cleanest day at the office, you've got to control the controllables in races like these, David. And just the final point before we move on into the final stages of this race on that, if you don't control the controllables, that's a very surefire way to drop points.
Exactly what our GT3 winners said in the previous races. We need our first driver's stint to be tidy, no mistakes. Second driver's stint to be tidy, no mistakes. Pit stop to be tidy, no mistakes. And once we've done that, pace will end up where we are, but we're certainly not going to get a good result if any of those three things are untidy or result in penalties or spins or incidents.
So 11 seconds, the lead gap right now for the AAS Motorsport number 91. out there, which will be smiling about in the way that their role has been setting itself into play, and they will be looking around at this and saying, we have got a really good job. It is then Intl who is there in second, and in second for Petrolife Racing Team, the Malaysian-based team. Commit their third, meaning it's a 1-3 at the moment for AAS Motorsport. They'll be very happy with that. And then for Wing Hin in fourth position, then it is currently Ryan Wong who is behind the wheel and trying to do everything possible to continually build that gap and find that result. So I would be keeping this one steady and saying, I want to try and keep jumping up through. This is where the 11 now starts to close up. This is where Chris wants his pass right now, and Ryan is going to be turning around looking at this going, we're under pressure, and this is needing a good turn 12. Look how shallow the 11 is trying to pick the run up, and he's going to get a good run here into one.
Chris Vasaratna driving the 11 was the fastest driver on track the previous lap. They've just completed another lap, and it's even quicker. So the 11 has really good pace for this final stint, but overtaking a Supra in a Supra, your strengths are going to be very equal in the same parts of the racetrack. It won't be easy even if you're a second a lap quicker.
Vasaratna poises towards the inside, neglects to do it, defended, takes an uber wide line here, is going to try and maximise the exit here, just get on the power as soon as possible and say, look, I'm going to try and get you to the committed turn 4, or if I can't get it through the run at 4, I'll have a lunge at you at turn 5. So let's see what the sort of speed equals are going to be as they set themselves up. It's Supra play Supra in through 4, a lot more curb taken there by Chris, and Vasaratna gets down the inside. Oh, he threads it on the inside. That is a beautiful overtake.
Yeah, looking to get towards podium positions. That's up into 4th place. Perhaps about 6 or 7 seconds behind a podium at the moment, but absolutely flying. Perfect racecraft. Fastest laps. Absolutely moving. Problem they've got, first and second are pretty quick, but there's still a couple more places that they could catch. That Supra is in fine form.
Yeah, so back up into 4th position, and you can see the last lap times that have gone through, 45s that are on the board, which means that Deticorn is being reeled in, 1.7 seconds the difference then on that last lap, and that gap down to 8.3 seconds right now. So Anantorn has a chance to chase this 91 Porsche down as it puts the lap down on the 37 Corolla and gets on through. I don't think this race is over and done with just yet.
No, this is how the race is meant to work with the adjusted compensation times. The field fans out a little bit. We have the pit stops, and then they should, in some cases, come back together again towards the end. So the 91 leading, but the 77, that long compensation time, 2 silver drivers, previous results, etc. They can be so quick. Hayden Haikal trying to extend a little bit of a margin for them in that first stint. Now the work for Anathorn in stint number 2 here to just keep that pressure on.
So pressure is there. It's latent at the moment. You won't see it in the mirrors, but it's one of those where you just sort of focus in for a couple laps. You look behind and you go, oh, car in the mirrors, that's going to be not ideal. 11 and 77 now going to get themselves black and white flags for exceeding track limits, and ultimately that I think is from Anantorn pushing, and also Chris Vasaratna then looking around and saying, look, I needed to make passes and I needed to get away.
Yeah, it's a silver-bronze combination in this car that leads, and it's a silver-silver driver combination for 2nd and 3rd, and then also in the number 11 that we've been talking about, the kind of pace that they've got available to them. So there's 1st, and then the rest of the pack. Hello, how are the lap times?
Well, I have it as 7.1 seconds over the line here for them to look at between 91 and 77. There is the 11 on screen right now. He's 8 seconds behind Kamek, who's not going to be there and doing too much. Now the 39 looks behind because there's the 95 looking to make a move, and this would be important here because these two yesterday were first and second, so there are championship points to be had here out there, on whether it's going to be a little nibble back at the 95, who desperately is going to need at least a top 5 to score some meaningful points with where the number 77 sits in second.
Still 10 seconds post-race to come for the 95, but still, you know, track limits, possible penalties for others, big wiggle going into turn 4 for the 39. They're under so much pressure.
Yeah, and that's the door just left open and trying to fight it back, but understeer is going to take its hold as you slightly climb up the rise out of turn 5. It's not much of one, but it's enough to say you're going to be fighting for grip there on the left-hand side and right-hand side tyres, so ultimately not much you can do, and that is going to be place lost then for that number 39 machine. But critically, while it is a place change out there, they've still got the seconds to go and work with as they look to try and figure out, okay, what can I do over towards the end of this race? 10 minutes, 10 seconds, that to me is a sit and understand of it, of, right, I'm just going to sit here and I am just going to try and hold my ground as much as possible.
So probably 6 laps to go. Race lead is 6 seconds and coming down about a second per lap. But keep an eye on that. You've got GT4 Pro, GT4 AM is the 95 is the leader in that class. Only one GTC car still going. It's the 37 Toyota Corolla Altis GTC. Those are the battles across 3 classes to be decided in this final 10 minutes. And that outright victory, the balance between the silver drivers and the bronze drivers, the compensation time working perfectly, because this could be a grandstand finish.
It very much could do. 6.1 last time over the line. There is the number 19 that is currently running down at the back in 9th position. They are just trying to make sure that they can get their finish in and do so well. It's always important to note that every car that jumps out on a grid, David, has just as much as importance as the car that's leading out there, because the lifeblood of a category isn't about who's winning, but who's willing to participate.
Yeah, exactly. One stop from this car. Last lap pretty close to a personal best as well. That's what you look for. You look for consistency. And then it all can come together with the timing of safety cars, with compensation time. You should always have a chance to compete so long as no large mistakes are made and you can get consistency. First and second cross the line. And 1 lap completed. Another lap off that gap. It's coming down exactly with the 2 lines to converge on the final lap. This is it. 91, the Porsche leads. Closing in the background, the blue Supra, the number 77. How many more laps with 8 minutes 41 on the clock? Because it's that time plus 1 lap. I'll be wishing it wasn't plus 1 lap in this Porsche crew, but they'll be really, really going to need that 1 extra lap if the Supra is going to be victorious today.
You know where they're losing that 1 second a lap here, David? It's the fact that wing mirror's back out again.
Yeah, I mean, is it within homologation to fold the mirrors in?
No, I don't think it is. You have to push them back out at the point where I think you do. It's also important to give sight line for the driver as well, and so it helps them on their safety as far as that sets. But they now know here in the number 91 Porsche here at AAS Motorsport, they're in a race, and I think they're going to have to get the elbows out, and they weren't afraid at the start of this race to get the elbows out and battle. I think, though, there is going to be a lot more ramification on this battle, and they are going to do everything they can to get a victory here at the Chang International Raceway. I think they really want to set themselves down and say, look, this is our chance, this is our time. We are going to go and get a result, and after what was a very tough day at the office yesterday, this would give them a big smile. And look at the looming blue car behind there. That Supra is closing in with Jaws music. 4.4 it is over the line now with 7:15 and a lap.
Yeah, the drivers can see how much time remains in the race every time they come past the start-finish line. And that number's coming down in both the margin and a little flash of the headlights down the straight from 1 to 3. It says, I'm coming, buddy. It's a psychological game right now in the battle for the win. Silver driver hunting bronze driver, but with only so much time to do it.
It's that case of, ooh, here I come. I'm here. Look, I'm in your mirrors. I'm
the
giving
super
you a little bit
boogeyman.
of notice. Yeah, it is. It's very much that sort of scenario of I'm going to try and do anything and everything in the racer's handbook to go and make you, make a mistake. And it's pretty high up there in the racer's handbook. Flash the lights, weave the car, make yourself as big as possible so it looks like you're everywhere.
Yeah, so critically, the last lap, the deficit only shrunk by 0.6 of a second instead of a whole second as it had on some previous laps. So maybe there's just enough performance left for the race leader. It's not their pursuer slowing down in any way, but it will be so close. Might come down to how many laps we get. We're doing minute 45.
Leaders on 46s though, so keep that in mind. Alantorn is the only driver in the 145s as this currently stands. Another
I think it's 4 more.
one. Yeah, it might be here. 4 more laps, and that is not what you'd want to hear, that you got 4 more laps. The gap down to 3.7 seconds, but it's not closing at the rate it was. It was a second a lap here, a second a lap there. It's now down to just 0.7 of a second a lap. I wonder if the tyres have been pushed too much, because they wouldn't have changed the tyres at the stop. They've got to make them last the hour.
Well, it's a cat and mouse game, and the string's getting shorter. But the fuse only has 5 minutes and a lap left. These two, so quick, they're pulling away from the rest of the field. The next closest gap is 4th and 5th, and I think that one's expanding. So if you're going to have one close battle, make it for the race win.
Absolutely, and they'll know that the conditions have started to cool off as well a bit here with the likes of the cloud cover that's coming over, so they'll also be looking at that, David, in the sense that, the weather frontier has come over quite quickly, and so the track's going to be behaving differently to what it did at the start of the race.
Yeah, the clouds have changed from delicious, fluffy meringues to quite dark, quite a deep blue, and even the chance of a little bit of rain later on. It's 4 p.m. local time at the Chang International Circuit. So not only getting a little bit later into that afternoon, but just a little bit of weather blowing across. They've got one final corner to go on this lap. As they cross the start-finish line, the gap on the timing column and on the live timing will update. It was 3.7.
Well, look at this as it crosses the line. It's now going to be 2.3 as they cross with 3:45 to go. On the radio,
it could be still 4 more.
It could be. It's going to be really close, and if it is another one...
2 minute 45s takes you to 3:30, doesn't it? And then...
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and then that lap, and then plus 1 lap. Oh, no.
He can't slow it down, and the reason why he can't slow it down is because he's under so much pressure to keep the pace up. And that might be the thing that basically says ball game.
Well, you never say no to just a little bit more racing, except when you're the leader, and that headlight flash button has gotten so much use, and I reckon as it gets darker and as you get closer, it starts to work more.
Yeah, it does, and you start really reining it on in here through 4, over towards turn 5. Now, the next left-hander, how much are you going to find? A way that gets this one to set itself in play. This number 77 car has led the opening stages, now is trying to hunt this down, and look at it. It's sizable. Every corner, it looks like they're nibbling 1/10 of a second or more away. Look at it, just pushing over the curb.
Sunday afternoon, your last race of the weekend. You can see the race win. Do you leave anything behind? I don't think so. Keep an eye on the clock. keep an eye on the lap times. Minute 45, minute 46. There's going to be more time than that when they cross the start-finish line. So it is still this lap, the next, then plus one lap. It's 3 to go probably. And oh, what a race the 91 has run. Great consistency, but I think they are going to be just, I don't know.
No cam out yet.
No, I started counting chickens, and then I realized they haven't hatched yet.
Because remember, you can catch,
because
you got to pass. And that 77, by the way, is on a final warning for track limits.
That's what crossed my mind when I said, actually, don't count anything too early, because the 77 could still get a penalty. They need to execute the pass cleanly. They need to catch cleanly now that they're on their final warning for track limits. Luckily, they've got that plus one lap that just lets them have a little bit more time to achieve it all. But you can't calm down a driver in a situation like this, can you?
No, you absolutely can't. And so that now is going to set itself into play, and they know and they will realize this could be a really, really tough game at the office if it's not going to play the way that it's required then. And so now, as they know, with a minute 7 that sits itself on the clock, are you going to find a way? Are you going to find a moment where this is going to be the one where it gets it done for you? This could be all about the magic moment here in a race like this one. Look at it over the curb. That is full commitment.
Still got to mind those track limits. Final warning, it'll display on the timing board as they cross the start-finish line here. Time still left, so 2 more laps. The gap is 1 second, but the 77 has to play within the lines or the ref will blow a yellow card.
Yeah, this is going to be all about, can you find it? Is the moment going to be there? Are you going to see this one? There goes the timer. So they're officially on. 2 laps to go. Detathon is doing everything. Car 16 then, which is Traitnit out there, is going to get a 5-second time penalty for track limits, and that is going to hurt the N Sports Acre Singer team, Vatana team out there. But look at it, they're in the same real estate, but that gap is not clawing down the way they would necessarily want to. This is all about setup here with a lap and a half.
And it's all about where you can make your move on the final lap. Now the 91's beginning to push the track limits a little bit as they feel the heat. They can look in all of their mirrors and see a big blue Supra.
And that big blue Supra, I would argue here, David, is angry and wants to get through. Heavy again on the light flash here and is really trying to ring this one through 8 towards 9 and 10.
That's how you know we're GT racing, and it's Decathorn on board the Porsche, Anathorn on board the Toyota, pressing the headlight flasher button. They're going to get the final lap board at the start-finish line this time. The Porsche will lead. Overtaking on this final lap will be difficult.
It very much will do. How aggressive do you want to be? That's deep, though. That's really deep into the corner from Ananton. And this final lap, they're not going to get a chance to run this one, I think, into 3. I don't think they'll get a chance into 4 or 5 either. I think this is going to be last corner stuff that we're going to see here at Buriram. That's wide there through turn 1. And while you've got the limits, you may as well go and use it. They'll say that's not fair, but you buy track limit points out there, so to speak, in the sense that you save them up, and then when you need them late, you go and use them. Now into turn 3 here. Can that Supra 77 find a way to go and claw that gap down any further? Dechathorn doing everything there in the 91 to keep the margin, to keep the faith, to keep this gap as it needs to be. They fought so hard in the early stages of this race. Then the pit stop cycle came into play. This has been a spirited drive back from Ananton out there in the number 77. But is there anything left to try and say, I can get there? Or have the tyres just decided, I'm going to give up the ghost? Through 6, into 7 now, looking to get the drive out through this one. And now that final sector, very technical, but the Porsche normally has legs, but look at that gap. And look at the margins as well when it comes to fuel too, as they will also had to have kept in mind that they needed enough to get to the end here. Gap's going to be down to 2 car lengths then as they try and push. Surely there's not enough time for a dive, is there? Surely, Anandorn, you can't get enough legs to go and get this sorted. It's all going to come down to this. The 91 postures on defence into the final corner. Is there anything left as they run to the line? Absolutely not. Dechaton will give AAS the win here in GT4.
0.6 seconds, the winning margin. You kind of had a little bit of a license to play with the track limits in pursuit of the race win for the 77 there, because they were 16 seconds ahead of third place. You could afford to take a 5 or 10 second penalty, and then the rest of the field come around. We're going to get our GT4 AM winner as the 95, but their outright position will be perhaps affected by a 10-second penalty hanging over their head, because just behind them will come the 39 and then the 22.
Wow. What a day at the office, eh? This is what racing's
22
all
gets
about.
GT4 AM. 22 gets the GT4 AM win.
Yeah.
7 seconds behind with a 10-second penalty for their rivals.
Yeah, they'll be happy with that, knowing that they needed that for GT4 AM. It was going to be close then, but ultimately they are going to stand on song and ceremony then with the result, as we just see over the line there, the GTC, the only remaining GTC out there here, as it's look like the wind's picked up a little bit now as we get a little bit more coverage coming on over through. But what a result we have set ourselves in with. And this GT4 GTC Championship, well, it's had a little bit of everything out there today. And the result then, AAS Motorsport 91, cling on. It's a double podium for the Porsches, which they'll be really happy about. Petrolife will take a very good second, and they will say they are right back into this one with a result like that. There's the confirmation of the GT4 result then on your screen as they all get the results sorted. And GTC ultimately has one finisher in Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand 37, the 24, with Nardole on fire. We haven't heard anything, so we can only assume everything was okay with Nardole getting out of the car, no burns or the like. And then Damien Hamilton ultimately seeing there the Ford Mustang pull over to the side. So that was troublesome in a number of ways out there, but that was a real nail-biter to the end, and ultimately, that Porsche Cayman just had enough legs, and it was a measured effort towards the end, David.
And tortoise-type stuff, isn't it, with silver drivers versus bronze drivers, but compensation time given. So you need to make no mistake and save some of those track limits for the end. So I'd say that is a great victory for understanding your car, your role, and playing it perfectly.
Yeah, a lot of claps in as Petrolife find themselves into the garage. Second position overall. They gave it a red-hot go to try and get the victory out there. I think they can still be really pleased with the performance there as they all sit. That's then going to set off things there as the AAS Porsche makes it back. And it's always a good sign, David, when you reach the finish that you have to give a little nudge to the marker board to say, I parked right up next to it.
Yeah, it's like spraying the champagne. Just nudge the spot. P1, yep, that's mine. Great work. And in a field absolutely saturated with the Toyota GR Supras. Oh, great. Between the drivers, between the competitors.
That's sportsmanship, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. They'll do everything to win on track. And then after the race, they appreciate the effort of each other.
What a wonderful day at the office then for them. They will know and understand that this was a really tough battle that you had to set yourself out with and get on to the level. But you really sit back and say, okay, what do they have to deal with next time? They've got a street circuit next in Bungsayan, which is so much different to what you've got here. As we're going to get a chance to have a little bit of a look on down. We'll have a couple interviews that will be put on through, and by the looks of things, there'll be a couple of them which will be out there in the native Thai language. I believe Hayden Haikal will have his chance to be talked to in English due to him being Malaysian out there and having a good run. But there's your leaders out there, or your winners out there in that run, and I think they'll be very excited on today's performance, David. And I think they'll also be looking at this as the chance that has basically wrestled their week back, because it was starting to look, especially after yesterday, like, okay, the Porsches didn't really have the day that they wanted at the office.
Well, the compensation time system used in TSS Supercar GT4 is a little different to how you see GT4 racing often happen in other places, but this is one of those races that is a great example of it. The compensation time between a silver and a bronze driver and a silver driver team brings them so close right at the end and rewards holding your nerve, playing your role, and thinking big picture, and a thrilling grandstand finish too.
Yeah, a really thrilling result then to see between them. And how will they be looking at this then in terms of the long-term haul of this championship? Because they know that, okay, yeah, it's only a 5-round season, but if you get something back over 10 races and you know at race 2, okay, we've righted the ship a little bit, surely that's going to give them a lot of confidence here as they head over then to Bungsai and say, right, that is the next chance for us to consolidate on a really strong result.
Confidence for Bungsen is massive. It's like Coachella for these guys. It's the chance that they get once a year to be on a massive stage, incredibly popular with all the spectators in a tourist town in a beautiful location, lots of accommodation around there, and so many VIPs from all the manufacturers come there. So confidence, momentum towards Bungsen matters so much.
Right, let's listen in.
Okay, at first one, how do you feel today?
I feel really happy. You know, after messing up yesterday, I think we did a pretty good job to build a big gap, and then you know, Tao was really quick. The car was also really quick.
Yes.
So I think the team did a very good job. You know, it's our first time racing together.
Yes.
And also racing in TSS. So yeah, I think the team did very well, and yeah, should be happy.
โอเคตาครับรู้สึกยังไงบ้างครับในวันนี้
ก็รู้สึกดีครับที่จบที่2ก็ยังดีครับอย่างเมื่อวานก็มีอุบัติเหตุนิดนึง
ครับ
แต่ก็ถือว่ากลับมาได้ค่อนข้างดีวันนี้
โอ้โหเราเห็นความตั้งใจความพยายามแล้วก็การยกระดับของต้าเนี่ยขึ้นมานะครับในจุดนี้แบบรู้สึกภูมิใจแทนพ่อแม่นะฮะ
ก็ภูมิใจครับแต่ก็อีกคืนนึงก็รู้ว่าตัวเองสามารถพัฒนาได้ต่อ
ครับต้าครับสนามหน้าไปบางแสนเป็นยังไงบ้างครับ
ก็ตื่นเต้นนิดนึงครับแต่ก็ต้องเตรียมตัวให้พร้อมมากกว่านี้
ครับอยากให้ฝากถึงแฟนๆที่กำลังเชียร์ต้าด้วยครับ
ก็ฝากติดตามทีมเพโตรไลฟ์ด้วยนะครับผมอนันต์พรจากเฮดดิ้งไฮแคลก็จะไปแข่งอยู่ที่บางแสนนะครับ
ครับ
เบอร์77
ครับผมเพโตรไลฟ์เรซซิ่งนี่ครับ last one you just talk to the Thai fans we go to the next race
do spotters for the next round. You know, we'll be coming back a lot stronger, and yeah, we're coming for the win this time. So, yeah, that's all.
Okay, congratulations. แสดงความยินดีอีกครั้งครับระดับหนึ่งครับเป็นของ AS Motorsport ครับแม่ได้คุยกันสักที finally นะครับพี่ปูเป็นยังไงบ้างครับ
ก็เกิดขึ้นคอเลยครับซินเบอร์เร็วมากผมก็พยายามเมนเทนยางแล้วก็พยายามทำเวลายืนพื้นให้มันดีที่สุด
จะเห็นในช่วง10นาทีสุดท้ายก็พยายามดึงเวลานิดนึงแล้วก็ในช่วงประมาณ 2-3 นาทีสุดท้ายนี่แหละที่พี่ก็ดึงออกไปก็น่าจะเป็นแพลนในการบริหาร manage ยางนะครับถือว่าวันนี้เป็นไงบ้างครับพี่ปุ๊
ถือว่าดีเลยครับทีมช่างแล้วก็บูมทำไว้ดีมากก็เลยทำให้ผลงานออกมาดีครับ
ครับโอ้โหรู้สึกว่าวันนี้พราวมากพี่ปุ๊ครับฝากถึงแฟนๆหน่อยครับ
ก็ฝากเชียร์ทีม AS Motorsport นะครับเบอร์9กับเบอร์10กับ91ครับผมขอบคุณครับ
ครับขอบคุณครับ AS Motorsport นะครับเดชธรผู้อัคราวุธนะครับขับคู่กับบูมการันตีกุศรีนะครับอยู่กับอันดับ1เลยครับเป็นของ Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand นะสวัสดีครับสวัสดีครับพี่แมนก่อนเลยครับพี่แมนก่อนเลย
ได้
ครับต้นกำลังแต่งตัวอยู่โอเคเป็นยังไงบ้างครับสำหรับวันนี้
ก็สำหรับวันนี้ก็ช่วงสตาร์ทก็รู้สึกว่าสนุกมากครับผมก็ได้มีแบบไล่กันบ้างอะไรบ้าง
ครับผมครับก็ไปเรื่อยๆนะ
จริงๆแล้วเราทำไปตามแผนของเราครับที่ทีมวางไว้
ครับ
ผมทุกอย่างก็เป็นไปได้ด้วยดีครับ
เสียดายรถดนไม่น่าจะเกิดเหตุนิดนึงเนาะก็น่าจะได้ด้วยแล้วก็ เป็นที่น่าเรื่องยินดีสำหรับจริงๆก็ปีนี้ก็พี่วัวด้วยนะฮะที่มีโดนเข้ามาร่วมขับด้วยนะครับก็เป็นปรากฏการณ์ใหม่เนาะ
ครับ
ต้นละครับเป็นไงบ้างครับ
เขาเป็นคนสุดท้ายที่ขับเข้าเส้นชัยครับอ้าวซะหน่อย
นี่แหละแหมมีส่งมาก็โอเคครับเรียบร้อยดีทุกอย่างก็เครื่องถือว่าเรามาเทสเครื่องที่เป็น1,600เทอร์โบนะครับก็ถือว่าสมบูรณ์ครับทุกอย่างไม่ว่าเครื่องเกียร์อะไรตัวรถสมบูรณ์ครับ
ครับโอ้โหคือในแต่ละปีในแต่ละสนามก็จะเห็น Toyota กับ Super Racing Thailand เนี่ยมีการทำผลงานได้ดีตลอดรักษาคุณภาพเลยเอาง่ายๆว่าเป็นคุณภาพคับจอจริงๆนะครับเราก็รู้สึกโอเคไม่ผิดหวังเลยนะครับแน่นอน
พยายาม
ต้นครับพี่แมนครับเราจะต้องไปกันต่อสนามต่อไป
ใช่สนามต่อไปบางแสนใช่ไหมครับ
ใช่ครับ
อีกเดือนกว่านี่เอง
ครับ
ถือว่าเป็นสนามที่เป็นใช้คำว่าเฟสติวัลยิ่งใหญ่เลยครับก็อยากให้มาดูแต่ว่าคนดูเนี่ยเยอะมากอยู่แล้วด้วย
ครับ
ได้ครับ
ใช่ครับก็อยากให้เชียร์นะครับ
ฝาก
พี่แมนครับ
โอเคครับก็สำหรับสนามบางแสนนะครับที่แน่ๆเนี่ยเราต้องมีการเซตรถใหม่ครั้งใหญ่พอสมควรครับผมแล้วก็อยากให้แฟนของ Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand นะครับไปเชียร์พวกเราด้วยที่สนามบางแสนเป็นสีสันอีกอย่างหนึ่งนะของปีนี้ครับผมได้ครับ
ขอบคุณมากๆเลยครับแสดงความยินดีครั้งครับกับ Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand นะครับเอาละครับท่านผู้ชมครับยังมีรุ่นที่เรารอคอยกันอยู่อีกหนึ่งรุ่นเลยครับเดี๋ยวตอนนี้ไปพบกับห้องบรรยายก่อนครับ
Well, what a moment that would have been to say, right, we get right on close to the limits here as we'll take a look at the highlights then of what took by. And it started off, well, up in flames out there, the dramatic jump out there from Nardo having to escape a burning vehicle then, and that was as simple as it wasn't even stopped before the door was open and was desperately trying to extricate from the vehicle. Managed to, got a little bit caught though with the radio then that wasn't quite disconnected but was able to get out and away, and no harm done by the looks of things there. The crews were on the scene quickly and basically got that one all set and sorted as soon as possible. The lead gap then was formed then by the 77 after the restart, which was needed to be all sorts of aggressive. We had a lot of great two-wide running as there was the 11 chucking it down the inside, and some beautiful moves, David, being made in the middle of that race.
Yeah, it was all about creating your gaps before the pit stops. It was all about avoiding penalties when it came to that pit stop. The 91, what a great race this crew had. Did enough in the first stint. Compensation time worked into their favour, but it still meant their bronze driver had to bring it home. And under what pressure too, because charging towards them at a rate of a second per lap, closing that gap down, but just not in time.
And ultimately, it was close, but close doesn't get you race-winning points out there. I think you're going to have to sit back and say that it was just a bridge too far to go and get that result there. That 91 Porsche just set itself up. AAS Motorsport will be incredibly happy about that one in the regard of where they set. We also note that we got one more race coming up, and it is going to be a big old category that is going to work. 3 lots of pickups are going to push in about, 10 minutes time. We'll see you in about 7 as we are going to get in and trucking with the B-Quik Thailand Super Series Super Pickup.
ฉายาต้นความเร็วครับแข่งในรุ่นซูเปอร์ปิกอัพครับด้วยปีที่แล้วก็เราเปลี่ยนเจนรถใช่ไหมครับแล้วก็มันก็เลยยังไม่ค่อยสมบูรณ์เท่าไหร่ก็เลยไล่ช่วงล่าง แต่ระบบเครื่องยนต์นี่คือผมจบอยู่แล้วไม่มีปัญหาอะไรครับก็คือด้วยเมื่อวานก็มีปัญหาก็คือสนามรอบสุดท้ายก่อนเข้าฟินิชก็คือล้อหน้าปีกนกมันหลุดครับแต่ว่าก็ยังดีก็ยังได้จบที่5คัด A ครับแล้วก็วันเสาร์ก็คือทำกันบ้านมาตั้งแต่เมื่อคืนก็คือไล่เก็บรถจนมาใกล้ๆปากทางพิษเปิดก็คือประสบความสำเร็จก็คือได้อันดับที่2 overall ที่2ในรุ่นคัด A ครับก็เดี๋ยวสนามพรุ่งนี้หรืออีกสนามหนึ่งก็พยายามจะแก้ไขรถให้สมบูรณ์ 100% ครับก็ฝากติดตามทีมรวมช่างเชียงกงโมวิวันเลสซิ่งด้วยครับอีกวันหนึ่งแล้วก็ในสนามบางแสนก็ฝากติดตามทีมผมด้วยนะครับ
สวัสดีครับผมบอยขจรศักดิ์ณสงขลานะครับอยู่ทีมรวมช่างเชียงกงโมวิวันเลสซิ่งทีมครับแข่งในรุ่นรถกระบะปิกอัพคลาส A ครับสนาม1นะครับจบการแข่งขันในอันดับที่4นะครับก็กลับมาแข่งในรุ่นรถกระบะครั้งแรกของปีนี้นะครับก็ไม่ได้ขับมานานแล้วก็สนุกดีนะครับตื่นเต้นแล้วก็พยายามปรับตัวให้สู้เขาได้แต่ทุกท่านเนี่ยค่อนข้างจะเก่งอยู่แล้วครับส่วนสนามที่2เนี่ยก็วันนี้ก็ดีใจครับที่มีอันดับดีขึ้นกว่าสนามที่1นะครับซึ่งจบในอันดับที่3นะครับก็เต็มที่แล้วครับก็จะพยายามต่อไปครับฝากติดตามเชียร์ทีมผมด้วยนะครับรวมช่างเชียงกงโมบิวันเลสซิ่งทีมนะครับก็ยังแข่งอยู่นะครับแล้วก็มีจะแข่งต่อในสนามที่3แล้วก็อีกต่อไปก็คือสนามบางแสนนะครับสนุกมากครับ
คุณผู้ชมครับยังอยู่ใน B-Quik Thailand Super Series 2026 นะครับที่สนามช้าง International Circuit จังหวัดบุรีรัมย์แห่งนี้นะครับแน่นอนครับคุณผู้ชมครับรุ่นที่อยู่ข้างหลังผมนี้คือ Thailand Super Pickup สนามที่3แล้วนะครับกฎของสนามนี้ในเรื่องของการ reverse skid เนี่ยผู้ที่ได้ที่5เนี่ยนะครับก็คือจะอยู่ในเกรดสตาร์ทของที่1ในวันนี้ก็คือสุภทัศน์บุญเรืองหรือตะนั่นเองนะครับไปพูดคุยกันดีกว่าว่าวันนี้เขาได้มีโอกาสและจะเป็นอย่างไรบ้างตามกันมาเลยครับอันดับที่1นะครับยังอยู่ในเกรดที่5ก็คือบูมการันตีกุศลีนะครับแล้วก็ไล่เรียงลำดับสลับกันไปเพราะฉะนั้นวันนี้เรามีโอกาสได้พูดคุยกับพี่ตาแล้วนะครับสวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับ
เป็นยังไงบ้างครับ
ก็ตื่นเต้นครับ
ตื่นเต้น
ครับ
แต่เมื่อวานเราเข้ามาที่5นะครับแล้ววันนี้ก็ reverse skid มาอยู่ที่1นี่ถูกน้ำหนักประมาณกี่กิโลครับ
50 โลครับ
50 กิโลนะแต่ข้างหลังรู้สึกว่าโดนหนักกว่า
ครับใช่ครับ
นะฮะแล้วก็วันนี้สนามที่3และก่อนที่เราจะย้ายไปอยู่ที่บางแสนนะครับมีความรู้สึกอย่างไรบ้างครับกับสนามนี้
ก็จะทำให้เต็มที่ครับ
ครับ
ว่ากันไปตามเกมครับครับจะขับเซฟหน่อย
ครับผมก็ถึงพร้อมฝากถึงแฟนๆเลยครับพี่ตะ
ครับก็ฝากติดตามTSS Racing ครับอาโต้กาซูด้วยครับขอบคุณครับ
ครับขอบคุณครับเป็นกำลังใจให้นะครับสุภทัศน์บุญเรือนนะครับหรือพี่ตะนั่นเองนะครับอันดับที่2นะครับไปถามพี่แบงค์หน่อยนะครับชินวุฒิเหล่าชินชาตินะครับเมื่อวานเข้ามาเป็นอันดับ4เนาะแล้วก็วันนี้เลยอยู่ในเกรดสตาร์ที่2นะครับพี่แบงค์สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับ
รู้สึกยังไงบ้างครับตอนนี้
วันนี้ก็พร้อมเต็มที่ครับผม
พร้อมมากๆเลยนะฮะตื่นเต้นไหม
ตื่นเต้นครับผม
ยังตื่นเต้นอยู่เหมือนเดิมแต่จะตื่นเต้นมากกว่านี้มันมากกว่านี้อยากให้พี่แบงค์นะครับส่งไปถึงวันนี้ให้กับแฟนๆแล้วบอกแฟนๆด้วยอย่าลืมติดตามพี่แบงค์ไปที่สนามบางแสนด้วยนะครับ
ก็ฝากเชียร์ทีมผมด้วยครับแบงค์ชินุสเบอร์23ครับ
ครับโอเคครับขอบพระคุณครับขอบคุณครับนะฮะคุณผู้ชมฮะโอเคคุณผู้ชมครับแน่นอนนะครับสำหรับรุ่นนี้ก็ยังมีอีกหลายคลาสนะครับรวมกันอยู่ในสนามนี้ไม่ว่าจะเป็นคลาส A คลาส B และคลาส C ใครเป็นแฟนคลับของใครก็ช่วยกันเชียร์และอย่าลืมติดตามกันด้วยนะครับกับสนามต่อไปในบางแสนสตรีทเซอร์กิตนั่นเองนะครับเอาเป็นว่ารุ่นนี้ใครจะเป็นแชมป์ติดตามกันให้ดีกับ B-Quik Thailand Super Series 2026 ครับ
Welcome back. Final race of the meet as we get ourselves set. The wind was certainly blustering in, but it looks like a little bit of sunshine has peeked out behind some clouds as we'll get ourselves set then for what will be one more amazing push forward here with the Super Pickups. 12 more laps here of the Chang International Raceway and a rolling start that will be in play with no compulsory pit stops required and 3 classes A, B and C's all working together as they set themselves into play. David, a few storylines as we walk into play. It has been one where in Class C, it has been at the double for Super Moncol Detpech, who has been very happy in his turn clutch Isuzu all new. And over in Class A, it has been 2 wins in a row in class for Compulsory for FIA Thailand Racing. So there is a sense of, if you can sweep the meet, you're going to be in a very strong position heading over to Bungsan.
This will be a pretty exciting and short and sharp race at 12 laps. And great variety of manufacturers. A lot of Isuzus, they are manufactured for the global market here in Thailand. Australia, you see a lot of these getting around, and they smoke about as much as these race trucks do as well. But the Toyota Hilux Champ, forever a favourite. And of course, Ford Racing Thailand putting a lot of work into developing their Ford Ranger as well. Toyota Hilux Revo are also in the field, so plenty to cheer for across a couple of different marques. You see your front row is Hilux here, alongside one of the Isuzu D-Maxes.
Yeah, so they're all there and looking to push. Those different manufacturers then all setting themselves in and saying, we want a piece of the pie and the puzzle as they go through. You've also got a Mitsubishi Triton in there as well that is put into play. There is Nantawat going from the number 19 car out there and looking to set. And there you've got Ross for Evo Turbo World looking to push through. Runs on a Japanese racing license, but representing from Australia out there as things go. There is Liquimoli Atex Firawat, then looking to go through with the visor down out there. And that was a very dark visor to say, look, I don't want any glare from the sun to come through.
And every time we stick the camera in the door of these trucks, every second driver points forward and says, oh, I can win this one. And I love that level of enthusiasm from our drivers. Very common in Super Eco, Super Touring, and Super Pickup here. The mentality of get in, get to work, muck in, and get the best result that you possibly can. What a massive field. What excitement awaits us.
Well, I will note as well that we've got a Class B truck on pole position here. So for Supertas Buriram, this is going to be a very important run then to go and get the result that is required, as ultimately in race 2 yesterday, Supertas took the pickup B result. Top 5 are inverted here for race 3. So Jataron Emrod was wrong side of it to go and set. And it is the way it goes. So you get the result, and then you have the top 5 invert, and then you have the top 5 invert again from the race as it goes through here in the B-Quik Thailand Super Series from the Chang International Circuit as they will go through. A lot of weight here in these trucks, 1,550 to 1,700 kilograms dry. Power ratio going between 420 and 480, and speeds, depending on the gear ratios, over 225 kilometers an hour. And critically, they have the road car chassis and the body shell out there, but gear ratios are quote unquote free.
Yeah, tuned for a little bit of extra power, and these are the tires that they're going to be racing on. GT coming on board with Thailand Super Series this year, supplying a number of the categories, and they're going to get a high performance but road legal tire on them. A little bit of tread, what some would call like an R-comp tire sometimes in parlance. That's what it gets called. Chang International Circuit. We love it. We know the overtaking zones.
We do. We've seen it over the course of 2 days worth of coverage here on the English side. For those who've been following the Thai and German side, 3 days worth of coverage that has been put through. So Supertas on par with Chinawat, Kajon Sak and Superchai there in 4th position. And Kantadi Kusari looking to get the full sweep of the A-class then from 5th position with Jataron Anawat and Akachat there in the 8th position. Akeluk along with Sonsak there for Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand, Suwat and Alongkorn making up the top 12 as Juarez, Akasit, Tanawat and Nantawat then make up your top 16 for next to MK Spool there Motul. There is Ross out there in 17th with Firawat, Itisak and Chanon then in the top 20 as they cycle through. You then got Chase Chakris, who represents Thailand, but based in America, with Chalampon, Natawut, and Aniwat there in 24th, with Samon Thanapon there with Nutanut and Nutapon there making up the 28th position for Team Donut Racing, which I do love. And then at the back, after having to retire with a blown turbo, Sandy Sutvik's got a lot of work to do. Rusta in control then of your C category, with Bunyari, Alexander, von Morik there, and Sungchai then sitting in the 33rd position on this one, which will leave the final four of Thanawas, Tanafak, and then you've got the likes then of Super Mongol, Depech, and Jakapan Wanarat, then who's at the back for Train Titanium, and will have a lot to go and work with. Getting themselves ready, though, on this rolling start, then, David, what do you think the big key is going to be here on trying to race these wonderful super pickups?
Well, it's all about racing clean, isn't it? But it's tough to do. You've got these really slow steering ratios that you can see means they're turning the wheel lots and lots. You've got the H-pattern gearboxes, no racing sequentials in these, so there's a lot for the driver to do. And they're big things, a lot of body roll, a lot of pitch. So you've got to be ahead of the truck with your inputs to try to be smooth, to try to be fast. But with 37 on the track, everyone's adrenaline will be running high, and it will be so tough to remain cool, remain calm, and execute in that manner.
Keep an eye out on the revs, because the more revs that they put through and the more that they lean on the turbocharger, the more black smoke will pour out the back of these, and they will get black smoke warnings if they use too much smoke out there. Of course, you've got to be very much playing into this one as they set. So it is the Toyota Hilux champ out there at the point, and as far as B-Class went yesterday, the champ is here on pole position. So they'll run through the final corner and get themselves set on and into position, and look for this launch then when the lights go out to say we can get the green flag and we can get underway. And here we go then for race 3. One truck pulling over to the right hand side, 4 wide. They are going to fan out then in the second row into this one, on board with the 18. Almost getting run over out there. What's the track limit through turn 1 anyway? And the clearance jump is there, 2s and 3 wides out there at the moment, as Chinawat having to really focus on where am I going to be heading towards turn 3 out there. Race start is under investigation for it, but as they now jam it on the brakes and try and slow it down here on lap 1, it's a lovely start, and there is Kennedy Kusuri, who is there in 5th place, having to really focus out it on here in turn 3.
So a great start from Supatas Bunrawang, who's away and clear of all of the nonsense going on back here. The Ford Ranger for Kennedy Kusuri, trying to get down the inside of that hairpin turn 3, not making as much progress as he would have liked. Till we get to the part of the track that's tough for these big trucks, is the fast corners, the switchbacks, the change of directions, and the track limits.
That was a huge wobble going through turn 4. It continues all the way to 5, and it's going to see that a shuffle down there, I believe, for Chinawat of 2 places. He's going to go by, and Superchai Kongman then I think is also going to be looking around at this, seeing what he can do in this scenario. On board with Chinawat now, who sits there into position. He's managed to fight his way back out there into play, but look at the level of how hard they are going to have to fight and give what they can at the early stages. And even the mid-pack right now to late pack, still too wide everywhere.
The number 92 Hilux champ still racing inside of the top 10 as the Hilux Revo leads. So many Isuzus in here that you pick out something else and you spot a couple of Rangers, you spot the Triton, but you've got dramas for the 46.
That is a big off then, and that will be a shame for Nutapur Namjuk, who is there off the road, and that's going to be his day written. So Supatas in control. Then it's Kanti, look at it, 3.6 seconds down the road off the get-go. Kantidi is going to have to do a lot of work to pull that back. Chatteron up in 4th position, be happy. There is the 92 of Songsak there in the champ, looking to try and get this one running through, but will be looking behind and knows it's a Kealuk who wants to try and get in close. Those two yellows. Isuzu's now trying to bring themselves into play because we've got Akachat there, and now as they charge on over, they know they've got to make something of this one as they hit on in. There is the 81 there of Akasit under pressure then as they work on through. The 47 then of Chase Chakras Park trying to go the long way around in the Ford Ranger, but ultimately the Ranger needs to find a new reserve to go and work with, as now they might push to 3 wide.
Well, it's always such a pinch at the apex of turn 4, such a fast corner that can be out of control, and we settle it all out, single file, moves
Oil
for
flag
the
down.
93.
So they've got to be careful. The oil flag's down, and there's a lot of lockups then as they go into turn 5. They would have got that on the board as they work through. Green flag then resumes out there as they go through. The red and yellow flag was being waved for them down at that section into turn 4, so that would have said proceed with caution as they work by. Look at the wiggle there from the 85. Safety car board up though.
Yeah, it's on the timing. Here comes the safety car, and it's on the track side as well. Not everyone getting the message initially, and it's because the 46 is still out there of Nuthapon Namjak. That car hasn't moved. And you got another one.
Yeah, that'll be the 16 by the looks of things there, or is that the 36?
The 86?
It could be out there. I looked around at that, and that doesn't look good. That might be Tanafak Sucharoan. There is one of your Class Cs out there that is in trouble, so you might be right there, David. I think that definitely looks like the 86 is down to a standstill.
Now, the Toyota Hilux Champ also has a new livery in 2026 with that update that Toyota Gazoo Racing Thailand have brought across all of their cars, all of their categories. Seen it in GT4, seen it in Super Touring, seeing it here in Thailand Super Pickup. Gorgeous shade of red for the fan favorite truck. Not available in Australia, not available in the US, not available in the UK. I might smuggle one in my backpack one day, bring it home. Gorgeous, creative little thing designed for emerging markets, designed to be incredibly affordable. But it is racing well. So Songsak, I believe, started 11th and now is up into 8th. That is the boxiest machine out there, including the recovery vehicles, including the big slide, but it's doing all right for itself.
Well, here's a story that I think is quite interesting. So the start has been investigated out there, and the two cars that are out, which is Thanapak Sucharoan and Thanawas Tangchit Manetskada, then the 86 and the 87 have a 10 and 5 second penalty each, and they're both out.
There's everyone supporting Ford Racing Thailand, and no doubt they're happy to see Kandidi Kasiri up into 2nd. Happy to see the other machines, Chase Chakras Parks and Sandy Stuvik, still rolling. They want to see a Kandidi Kasiri win, no doubt. But there's still a lot of laps left in this.
And I think what will be clear as well is that it looks a lot more likely after the safety car came out there, David, because that gap was up at 4 seconds. And suddenly that has just been absolutely reeled in with nothing that can be done there for Supertas Boomerang. That is just the brakes, basically. That's the kicks.
Yeah, he had such a great race start, didn't he? From that pole position, Boomerang leading through turn 1. Everyone ran off the track, battled 2 wide, 3 wide, 4 wide behind him. And he had 10 car lengths clear and was just seeing everyone kick off behind him. And because of that, he holds the fastest lap of the race. But we've gone safety car. We can press the field again. Maybe a single file restart will also help him. 2 stricken vehicles out on track being recovered. And maybe a chance that they need to clean up a little bit of oil at turn 5.
Yeah, I think there's that too, because the oil flag was down. So they're going to have to get that out and try and get the surface back to an operating position. And they will keep ticking off the laps here as far as they go, because we have run on time out there. I don't think we're potentially at a risk of a limit being put on in. It just says start time 16:40, heat duration is going to be 12 laps. I think as far as we're looking at this one for this race, I think we run this until we get 12 laps done, and I don't think there's going to be any time constraints.
No, so we're losing laps, but not losing minutes with this safety car and this recovery. Briefly on board with third place, Chinoat Lauchinchat. To the right-hand side of his steering wheel is an aim dash that will tell him various things about his vehicle and also his lap times. To the left of it, looked like it could be a boost or an air fuel gauge to just let him know exactly what the engine and the turbo is doing. And here is a little bit of a look at the track state and if there's anything down on the track that needs clearing. Well, there's multiple people on the track. That suggests we're not restarting immediately. And whoa, we got an animal on board behind the wheel there too. That's great. I love that on board. Chinoat Lauchinchat's got everything that he needs, and he sits third place.
Yeah, oil spill on track at turn 3.2. So it's on the exit of turn 3 that we've got the oil spill, and that will need to be then dealt with before they can get back and going again racing. And as far as that now sets itself into motion here, I tell you what I love about motorsport, right? We talk about being very innovative. The cars get bigger and better and faster. The trucks here, they're wonderful to go out there and race. Marshals around the post still have an old school broom.
Yeah, you got lots of different tools that can do the trick. A good broom will never fail you. As far as the more high-tech solutions go, do love a big blower, and this is manpower at work trying to clean up the oil. That is the exit of 3. Left-hand side, mostly off the racing line on your way towards turn 4. Love a FOD boss as far as debris recovery. That's another great track cleaning, track clearing innovation. Drone shot's going to give us a great look. We've had the helicopter as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah.
Just short the
Oh
dozen.
gosh, it continues. Look at that streak all the way to turn 4.
Yeah, that is a huge...
My
safety
word.
car will enter pits in this lap, so whatever they're going to have to do with it, they're going to have to deal with it now, and they're not going to be able to get that off the racing line. So I think they've realised here, look, we can only do so much with this, but the safety car will be coming in or entering the pit this lap. I would be very shocked to see us go back to racing at the end of this lap.
Yeah, they seemed to deal with it mainly through 4 and 5 a lap ago. And the parts where it's on the racing line you're most worried about.
And that's the part that they couldn't get to.
Lights off the safety car.
I think we're going back to green flag running. And that is, for me, going to be a case of how are they going to manage at turn 4. That's suddenly going to become the most treacherous corner out there on this lap. So put yourself in the position of Supertas Boomerang, who is going to be leading as a B-class driver, and we'll be looking at Compulsory, who has had a second and a first in overall, 2 firsts in category, and currently is in position to sweep the category as far as it goes. A look over at Buriram over on the far side, but now let's set ourselves into position. Now let's give ourselves a race that will be really fun to have. They've still got Jatron Emron in 4th position, who will be the nearest challenger for the 10, but they get the launch back off and away here as they will now get themselves on to lap 5 here of 12.
Vitas Boomerang with a couple of car lengths again through turn 1. Got to mind those track limits. He gets a massive snap and a slide exiting 1. Kennedy Kasiri goes wide out of turn 1 as well in his pursuit of the race lead.
He's doing well. Alexander von Morik leading in pickup C at this point in time. But here we go, the run to turn 3. Where is this move going to come from Chinawat? Looking around at this, thinking, I might want to wait, but it is still held to its marker, and there is an understanding that I don't need to catch the car in front here from Kasiri. He knows he's only got to beat his real class rival who's really trying to attack. Now how much do they look to want to risk going over to the to the left-hand side of the circuit? There's the side-by-side into turn 4. Now tip it in and tip it in carefully. Out there on point, and everyone works through fine, but on the brakes there's a look from behind as well. I think that is Anawat Mainan who is going to try and get the move done on the Songla. Big lock up there from the Pumpkin 22, trying to work through. That's Tanawat.
It's black smoke when it comes from the exhaust, but it's white smoke when it comes from a tyre lockup. Something in between if we've got a new Pope. So positions changing as we go. Pickup B still leading outright. Supatas Spunrang, Kandari Kasiri leading class in second. And I think the Hilux champ has lost a spot or two. It's so densely packed back here.
It really is, and so I think that you're sitting yourself back and hoping that you're not going to get yourself involved in too much. And now here comes Super Chai looking to the inside, then trying to go and get it. It's just going to come off the screen here as we focus back down the circuit here for the amount of battles that there are. Looking off then through the final corner. Jataron has held, but here comes the 7 then in this one, and trying to really get this Suzu all into position here. These two fighting hard, but Emrod is holding his ground very well. Big defensive pivot there in the background from the likes of Nantawat.
Difference in straight line speed to the first sector evident based on different settings, different tunings, different body shapes. It gives us great battling.
Slightly later on the brakes. Can you get it tipped in? No. They both go incredibly deep in, but critically enough, it's enough on the run there for Superchai Kongman to get the clearance through the middle of the corner and start thinking about that jump away to say, right, next up on my list, I want Chinawat here then, and third position overall. That will be there. Cars 16 and truck 16 and 85 have been given the black smoke warning. We don't want too much of that. Dial back the revs.
Bit of another lockup at that large braking zone for turn 5. The body roll that these exhibit make it so easy to snatch a brake, and then the change of direction here, the weight pitches one side to the other, makes it so easy to make a mistake. 2 laps in a row, the fastest truck through sector 1 and the long straight is the Toyota Hilux champ. That thing has got some ponies and some punch in a straight line. Quickest through sector 1, 2 laps in a row.
That Toyota Revo is absolutely jumping out there at the moment, and it's very much a case of where are you going to find a way to chase that down. So for the moment they will have to just be looking around at this and saying, where do you go? And there's the 92 in a big scrap. That's Songsat then, who is looking at Akeluk, who is just behind trying to get through. Can Akeluk Narka find a way with the all-new to go and get it sorted? Not a chance out to the final corner, but you still got chances. 1 and 3rd, and the 85 is going to pick up 15 seconds out there for overtaking under a yellow at turn 5. So it's under investigation as well, just to make that all safe and sound. But that is a Longkorn Saitong there who would have avoided, who would have been given a massive penalty. Look at how they fan here, the 19 and the 9 then out there as they focus on through.
A little dragging on the ground for the 19 there. I think there's been a little bit of contact in this battle. Turn 3, they slow up. It takes so many turns of the wheel to get the nose to go in here. You see it from any of the onboards, and that's Sandy Stuvik, the Ranger, coming up just behind. His teammate, Andy Kasiri, is up in 2nd.
I believe it's the 15 even by example there, who is there. So that is Thanafon then, who is working. There's 3 of 4 Thailand racing there, and that was nearly a bollard. That was nearly 4,000 baht that you were going to have to pay for that one as you worked on through. Big look down the inside then once more from Thanafon, and this could be enough then. Having to work through 6, you've got to try and close the door off here, otherwise you're going to have to leave the door open at 7. Just enough overlap between them there. Door shut.
There we go. Coming into this next technical section, sort of a triple right-hander, a fast one, slows up, then the track goes back to the left after this long right-hander, and you're looking for an exit here to head towards the big braking zone of the tight final corner.
And you'll know, as you make the push off of the corners here, you have just got to make sure that you are prioritising that exit, getting as much run. A little bit of too wide there, back as we watch with the Zik Racing, their truck that works itself forward here. There is that 22 that's going to need things sorted, and car 22. Now that is Tanawat, who is on screen right now, is going to get 15 seconds for passing under safety car at turn 8.
Yeah, you typically can't be doing that, and it could get worse because there's so much pressure on them heading down towards turn 3. Turn 2 is this little flick just here. Turn 3 is a real
look at the bottom
challenge.
of the 19. Look at
Yeah,
the bottom of the 19
dragging
there. The splitter's gone.
Around the outside, you can make that work in a truck.
You absolutely can. I'll tell you who else is making it work in a truck right now. Super tough Boomerang. 6 seconds clear.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the sectors. Where does that time come from? It's not in a straight line. It's the braking, it's the corner handling. This is the part of the lap where he's so much stronger than everyone else. 43.2 through Sector 2, quicker there. Sector 3, also very good. Toyota Hilux champ, still unbeaten in Sector 1.
Yeah, so for Compulsory, I think it's just a case of looking behind. Chinawat, massive kick of tail from the Isuzu. They're really looking to push and say, right, I've got to get this one working through. And they've got the spoiler there on the back to try and sit it down. And it's very unique, actually, when you see a spoiler out there on a racing truck, because as you do, normally the spoiler sits above everything else there, but it sits actually below the main cap.
Yeah, it's out the back of the long bed. So we're battling inside of the top 10 here. Looks like 6, 7, and 8 out of the final corner there, and that might be a penalty being served just behind them.
Yeah, so that looks like one down into the pits there, and that will be a Caleb Narkerd, who has got a penalty and is coming down in to serve that. Keep an eye out, there's a lot of black smoke penalties and those who are exceeding track limits here, so they're really having to get on with it in the final stages of this race, because we are down to 4 laps to go. A battle here in B as they go. It's 95 and 91 going at it here as they look to set down in. Jatteron Emrod on the outside, on the inside, taking that one away will be Anawat Manian then who gets this one, or Manian who is there and gets that pass sorted. And on the back now, Songsak wanting to get through the Hilux champ.
Yeah, gone from 11th up to 7th, now back into 8th, but that's a Class A truck with a Class B battle in front of them, so they don't need to concern themselves too much with that. They're looking for 5th in pickup A.
That's a Class C leader out there battling with a Longcorn Sidesum, then who in the 60 has now looked around and said, right, this is where I'm going to be in and around with. Sorry, I'll correct myself, that 60. There is Caleb Narkerd, who's just come out of the pit, so give some room for Morik there. Lots of smoke down there at turn 5. So if someone had a major off through that section, or is that just the sheer number that's gone through? I think that's more number than it is truck, because I haven't seen anyone that has found themselves into position there. But for Morik having a good run, Sungchai Wanatim then is the one directly behind, and I'm looking down the order here and seeing who has maybe found themselves in trouble here. It does include Super Monko Degpatch, who is not going to get his 3 straight in Class C.
Tire lock-up smoke can be pretty acrid stuff. Can make your eyes sting. And
here comes Chinawat.
Yep. Kennedy Kasiri drops back behind. The number 18, losing leader class. Didn't look good in a straight line. Looked like he was just being a little careful with it.
I wonder whether, as they get by as well, one getting back out onto speed, I wonder whether he's going to be having the same turbo issues that befell Sandy Stutvik last race yesterday. So that's going to be worth maybe a little bit of a note. 22 on the defence as well, trying to hold this. This is still Tanawat Sawanarat, who wants to keep this one into position. You've got the 15 there of Tanafon trying to get that Ford Thailand Racing truck into play. The Ranger searching around for it and holding a line. You just have to commit to it so early before you lean into the corner. It's not one where you can change too much under braking. Once you're committed to it, you're there for an age of turning before you can put the power back down.
The past where the oil was down, things have cleared up enough. Still seeing some lockups going into turn 6, but I think that's just the nature of the braking zone. You've got roll in the car coming through the previous corner just as you begin to brake, and everyone's doing it. A front lockup here and there.
Oh, and there, a little tag on the back there, the 68, sorry, there of Anawat, and there goes there a lot of bodywork over the top, and that's going to cause a lot of concern maybe for flat tyres.
Yeah, I think they've lost their tailgate. I think they started with one, and it's come off. A bit of damage.
I think it's the 93 nose. Look, you can see it there, hanging off there on the side. Look at it. Look, it's dangling. Absolutely dangling. Gets into the back, and there it departs at turn 9. So that's just telling you all you need. Now there's a massive wiggle, trying to get some pace down there off of it. It's the Liquimoli truck of Nutanak Wonsumbun there, who is having to deal with all of those troubles, and now a very heavy defence out there, and the 85 gets 10 seconds for pit lane speed as well.
Well, there's not too many laps left in this race for them to settle this all out. Supercast Bunrawang, the pole sitter, has continued to lead. Chinawat Lauchin Shark come through into second place, put Kandidi Kasiri back into third. This battle amongst the fringe of the top 10.
Still, you just get the sense that they are going to scrap until someone rings the bell. This is pretty much a case of an all-out bar brawl that they sit with at the moment. Now on the inside, it's still the defence that sets itself for Tanawat. Can Fanafon get this one sorted? Abandon all who enter left there, as I think that might have been Anawat there, who ends up going hard over to the left-hand side, and I think that one's just given up the ghost all over it, and a spin as well for the 87 out there, and that's going to be no good for Thanawat, who ends up in trouble with the penalty as well that goes along with through turn 4.
Yeah, spun in that final corner, but also already 3 laps down, unfortunately. I think with some time in pit lane earlier.
So, out to the front, where we will have a lap to go here in this one, and that is going to set itself up for a Toyota Revo that is in an absolute... there is going to be go through, sorry, that's the 9 there that's going off into the pit, so that's Salmon Mapka then that is coming down in set. So now I think we're soon going to be setting up then with the run on through over to the end of this one. That's the Isuzu All New then that's down on in. So this will now be the final lap starting here for Supertas then Boomerang, who has absolutely dominated this race 3, has not had to worry too much. There is Songsak, though, trying to maintain that 7th place position and noting just how tough of a day it will be. You know that every point is going to matter, be it out there against Class A or Class B, or however you need to go out there and do it. The 91 of Jataron has been slowly fading back. Natawut wants to try and find a way in towards turn number 3 as we get the focus on the TGR Thailand 92 that looks to jam on the brakes. So much aggressive camber out there as it looks to get the turn in on the knife edge into turn 4. Really does shallow up through the corner before you get the run on the end. Lots of squeal there off of the exit then, as that might even be Chase Chakris then, who is looking there in the 47. I'll correct myself, that's the 5 there of Natawut trying to go for it. The 3 exiting pits then and looking to charge through. That's Sandy Sutvik, who has not had a day at the office that maybe would have been desired out there. So Stuvik's not going to be too pleased about this one and basically call it a write-off in that book. Still though, working through to 9 to 10 to 11, and this is through turn 8 now into turn 9. This has been a truly magical drive then to say, look, what a class we set with here in your Super pickups out there. This has been one where we said, look, for pickup A might be the easiest one, but in 2 races today, it's Class B that's going to come away with the overall result, and this one was never in doubt. This is Super TSS Buriram coming to the line on a brilliant display of victory. Chinawat will take second, and Compulsory walks away with 3rd overall and 2nd in class.
Rest of the field across the checkered flag. We're waiting for our pickup C leaders to come around. Alexander Van Murik was leading that one from Sangchai, one of them. And so in the battle between the 24 and the 90, no doubt we'll see them shortly. Isuzu D-Maxes, the both of them.
Van Murik's just crossing the line and will take the Class C finish in 14th position as they cross. So a lot then having a issue over towards the final lap as it works on through. So ultimately they'll get the finishes as they cross on through. Look at it. Oh, we got one running out over the line there by the looks of things there. That could have been Akasit there, who was struggling to get that one over and finished, but just about seeing the last of the trucks make their way, or these pickups make their way over and across the line on what has been a very aggressive run. But at the front, it's not often you get to say this in this category, David. At the front, it was calm. And that is the 34 there that has just made it. That is Agachat Miprom, who ultimately has to stop by the start-finish straight.
Dominance on the race start, dominance on the restart, dominance throughout. Super TSS Buriram just always appearing in control, while others, throw theirs around, slide, lock up. Just drove within the limits of the vehicle and executed perfectly, made it look so easy.
Some would say it's an easy day, but you've even got some deposited there at turn 3. So Super TSS getting it done for Toyota GR Gazoo. And they'll look around Chinawat there in 2nd and 3rd, then belonging to Kantadi in Class A. Chinawat will take the control over Kantadi and Kajon Sak, who had been right up at the pointy end through each of the 3 races, and takes 3 very, very good results out there for the Chiang Auto Parts team out there. Super TSS wins in Class B over Anuwat and Jaturon, then in 3rd position for the 91, and we'll be very happy there for Jack Racing there and saying, look, that was brilliant there. Alexander Van Murik taking control for turn clutch ahead of Sangchai and Bunyarat, as there is the confirmation of the results then of fastest time. And Super TSS, goodness gracious me, they're doing a 153 out there. That is what we call putting on the afterburners, David.
Yeah, and I think so much of that came through sectors 2 and 3, which are the braking zones at turn 4 and 5, the twisty switchback sections and that tight final corner. So in a class where the vehicles are kind of heavy, kind of high center of gravity, and not on full slick racing tires, to appear so under control and to corner and brake so elegantly. Yeah, it speaks to a well-tuned vehicle and a driver who really understands how to drive it smoothly to its maximum perfection, rather than overdrive it, slip it, and slide it and lose time.
ครับท่านผู้ชมครับในเรื่องของ Thailand Super Pick Up
and we're going to listen in now for the final interviews of the day.
สนาม Chang International Circuit นะครับแน่นอนผู้ที่เข้ามาเป็นที่ 3 นะครับเป็นของบูม Compulsory Super Series นะครับจาก Ford Thailand Racing โอ้โหบูมถือว่าดีที่สุดแล้วนะ
ก็ทำดีที่สุดแล้วครับ90กิโลก็หนักเอาเยอะนะแล้วก็ตอนแข่งก็มีอิชชูนิดหน่อยคือกำลังเครื่องมันดรอปลงผมก็ต้องพยายามมาพุชในโค้งเยอะแล้วด้วยความที่น้ำหนักรถมันหนักมันก็ทำให้
นี่ผมจินตนาการไม่ออกนะว่าถ้าเกิดบูมเข้ามาเป็นที่1สนามหน้าเนี่ยลอยเท่าไหร่
ผมแม็กซ์มาที่90ครับ
เกิน90นะเกิน
ใช่ครับ
แล้วเลย
ใช่ครับ
โอ้โหแต่ก็ถือว่าโอเคนะ
ก็โอเคครับจบบนโพเดียมทั้ง3วันก็ถือว่าประสบความสำเร็จมากแล้วครับ
ครับโหที่สุดเลยครับดีมากๆนะครับโอเคไหนวันนี้ละอยากให้ส่งต่อไปถึงสนามที่บางแสนครับ
ครับก็ยังไงนะครับฝากติดตามเชียร์นะครับที่บางแสนนะครับก็จะทำอย่างเต็มที่นะครับแต่ว่าก็คงจะมี90โลอยู่ในรถมั้ง นะครับก็ลองดูนะครับ
ครับขอบคุณมากครับ
ครับ
แสดงความยินดีอีกครั้งครับ ไปต่อนะครับ อันดับที่ 2 นะครับแบงค์ครับ เป็นของชินวุฒิเหล่าชินชาติครับ สวัสดีครับ แสดงความยินดีอีกครั้งครับ
ขอบคุณครับ
พูดถึงผลงานตัวเองในวันนี้หน่อยครับ
วันนี้ก็จบที่2โอเวอร์ครับที่1คาเท
ครับผมแม่พูดแบบอย่างภาคภูมิใจมากเลย
ครับกว่าจะได้ครับพี่ไม่เคยได้มาหลายปีแล้ว
ครับเพราะฉะนั้นวันนี้ก็ถือว่าเป็นการฉลองความสำเร็จของตัวเองครั้งหนึ่งนะครับ ก่อนที่เราจะไปต่อสู้กันต่อในสนามหน้าที่บางแสนครับฝากถึงตัวเองหน่อยครับ
ครับก็ฝากติดตามทีมพวกเราด้วยนะครับแบงค์ชินวุฒิเบอร์ 23 ลิมิเต็ดครับอูเกียจันทบุรีครับผม
ครับขอบคุณครับ แสดงความยินดีอีกครั้งนะครับ และอันดับหนึ่งของเรานะครับ เป็นของพี่ต้านะครับ สุภทัศน์บุญเรืองโอ้โหเป็นยังไงบ้างครับ
ก็ถือว่าดีใจมากครับกับ
รถแรงมากครับแล้วก็ยิ่งรักษาระยะห่างไว้ได้ดีมากนะครับแม้ว่าจะเกิดเหตุการณ์ที่เราต้องเข้าเซฟตี้คาร์ด้วยกันนะครับก็ยังนำออกมาได้ครับก็ถือว่าผลงานของตัวเองในวันนี้
ก็เข้าเป้าครับ
ครับโอเคทีนี้สนามต่อไป
ครับบางแสน
ครับยังไงบ้างครับ
ก็จะทำให้ดีที่สุดครับ
ครับ
เหมือนเดิม
อยากให้พูดถึงสนามบางแสนหน่อย
ก็เป็นสนามที่ยากอีกสนามหนึ่งนะครับก็ตื่นเต้นอยู่เหมือนกันฮะก็ต้องไปลองดู
ครับผมครับฝากถึงแฟนๆหน่อยครับพี่ตา
ก็ฝากแฟนๆ FC นะครับโตโยต้านะครับ PHC Racing ครับโตโยต้ากาซู Racing นะครับอาโต้นะครับจูนไบโอสเทรนไทเทเนียมนะครับ SKS Turbo Burst Intersync นะครับ BRC นะครับแล้วก็เทรนครับเพจครับ
ครับขอบคุณครับแสดงความยินดีครั้งนะครับเอาละท่านผู้ชมครับก็จบลงแล้วนะครับสำหรับตัวรุ่นนี้นะครับ Thailand Super Pickup นะครับแล้วพบกันได้ต่อในสนามหน้าที่บางแสนนะครับเดี๋ยวส่งต่อตรงนี้ให้กับห้องผู้บรรยายครับ
Wow. I think we have been treated to a wonderful first weekend here at TSS Super Series, Thailand, the Super Series here with B-Quik. And I think, David, as far as the running of this has gone, it set ourselves up in a wonderful position for next time out at Bangsan as we take a look at the highlights, which were all started about with some aggressive running through turn one and ultimately the necessity of a safety car being needed for an oil spill.
Yeah, and then a stopped vehicle elsewhere. So 2 early retirements from this race and a safety car coming out from that. But it was Supertas Bunrawang who got an amazing race start. And then we got our safety car. That would drop a bit of oil, wouldn't it? That'd do the trick.
Yeah, a little bit of oil will go a long way to making a surface too slippery to go out and race. Had a bit of 3 wide as they worked on down in, and then the smoke everywhere as they had to try and slow themselves up then for that safety car period. But on the restart, the battle between Compulsory there and the 23 then of Lunchenchat was always going to be on, but this guy running away, absolutely waltzing away, and if that pace can transfer itself over to some of the next rounds out there, that's going to be very difficult. And look at that for a full kicker tail there from Anawat there. That was a massive send going through the final corner.
In the end, Kasiri would be part of this really close battle. A little bit of damage going on as well, but he finished 3rd. You can see that his right rear light not in perfect form. That was the front being knocked off one of the Isuzus that dominate this field across all 3 categories numerically, but in terms of performance, the Ford Rangers and the Toyota Hilux Revo and the Toyota Hilux Champ, ones to watch. Crazy battles throughout, as it always is when you throw 37 pickup trucks onto one race for 12 laps. Bunrawang, in the end, dropping the pace back a little bit from his 153.4 to finish with a 2-minute lap right at the end.
Dialed it back perfectly. The new tyres then allowing for this aggressive factor on it and maybe a little bit more to work with. It doesn't necessarily need to slow down as much as far as it goes here at the Chang International Circuit. That is that in terms of performance and run. But David, let's talk about where we're going to be next time over in July, because Bangsan is basically the run out there July 1st to 5th. This is Thailand's Monaco that comes along and play. If you haven't seen Bang Sen out there and run as a track, it is truly magnificent, and I think its place in the world, I think it's going to be turning into one of these modern classics that will be putting on through, and it might step itself up as maybe the next Macau, the next Po, one of those next circuits where you see some amazing street running.
Yeah, I think for a lot of international drivers, it's sort of popping up on their bucket list as, gee, I want to get there and I want to race that track. It's, as you say, part Monaco, part Las Vegas, part Coachella, part Stereosonic. The drivers become the rock stars. So many come out for that massive event in terms of spectators, but also in terms of participants. Last year, we had some categories that appeared there as well for, celebrity races, the CEOs, chairmen of companies showing up. It's a massive deal, not only for this series and for global racing, but for the industry and companies of Thailand.
And with that, I guess your Super Summer celebration will be coming along in a couple months, and we'll see the coverage soon in terms of that regard to say how much we will get. But TSS The Super Series by B-Quik and B-Quik Thailand Super Series having an absolutely wonderful showcase of racing action across all of the categories that we have seen as far as the running has gone over 3 days. And that goes from what we have seen, for example, in Super Pickup, Supercar GT4 GTC, Supercar GT3 GTM, the likes of Super Touring, Super Eco, and the 86 Challenge that has been here today. A massive pleasure to bring it from you, from Dan Yeaman in production, from David Haynes and myself, Jake Sperry. What a pleasure it has been to get to the Chang International Circuit and cover some amazing racing action. And there is more on the horizon in just a couple months, so stay with us and get in for more action here for Thailand Super Series.
Every season begins with a spark. But legends begin when passion meets the track. Three championships, 3 battlegrounds, 1 mission. To push harder, race faster, and unleash the thrill. For glory, for pride, for every second that defines a season. Chang International Circuit, May 21st to 24th, where it all begins. Witness Thailand's motorsport season ignite. TSS 2026. Fuel the thrill.